Yo, what's going on? We're back again, another episode of the WrestlePurists Podcast, episode 85, if I'm not mistaken, hosted by myself, Joe Hulbert, Manny the Hooper, and Charlie. Today, we're going to review AEW Dynamite like we do every Thursday, and we're going to look ahead to the rest of the week, of course, with Forbidden Door, some announcements for AEW made for Collision and Rampage, and, like I said, looking at the rest of the week ahead. And, of course, some news stories, as we always touch on. But first things first, please like, subscribe, turn on our post notifications, and send super chats if you're feeling generous. Always appreciated. Hope everyone's doing good. We'll throw it to my co-host first. I'll start with you, Joe Hulbert. How are you doing today, mate?
I mean, I think you know that already, right? I'm terrific, mate. This is a triumphant season. It is a time for victory laps and celebrations and jubilance and revelry, so on and so forth. What a time to be alive, my friend. What a time to be alive. Just enjoying it. Just enjoying the ride. Big night ahead. Got this show, then got the late night grin. So I'm thrilled to be here, as always, on the flagship. How are you, Monty?
Yeah, man, I'm good. Everything... The air's just a bit crisper these days, Everything's a little sweeter,
Pep in the step, so to speak,
Yeah, man, just everything just got a little bit more energy and life to it, I know how you're feeling, Joe, and obviously we're very happy to have you as always. Charlie, I'll throw it to you next. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. Dynamite last night was a real fun one. Just spent today basically getting ready to fly to Canada tomorrow, so that's exciting. I'm very excited about that. It's going to be a lot of tweeting during that. So if you follow me, I'm sorry, but also you saw what happened with the Bowler and Revolution trips. I just tweet a lot during them, but I'm pumped up. It's been a good time.
Yeah, of course, you're going over to Canada for the weekend to go see Forbidden Door. Those long travels that you do for wrestling that you will soon be famous for. You're going to be like the wrestling travel blogger,
Yeah.
We're gonna get the vlog of Wrestle Kingdom in 2025. It's gonna be beautiful stuff. But glad to hear that you're excited. Manny the Hooper joining us via mobile phone because of some technical difficulties. You are a very happy Spurs fan today, it seems. How are you doing, though, man?
Man, of course, on all days, my Wi-Fi goes out when the Spurs have the first pick of the draft. And then I have 2 podcasts, so it's been a crazy day, especially from my work side. So and you guys should be happy too. A fellow European is getting drafted number 1.
Yes, lots of celebration about that today. Yes,
yeah, the whole of Europe is bouncing.
The sister country, of England.
The sister what? Anyway,
it's been a whole thing. Everyone's been talking about money, right? Everyone's been talking about it. It's crazy.
Yeah, of course, man.
I forgot parts of Dynamite because I've been too busy listening to NBA draft coverage all day and last night while watching Dynamite.
Yeah,
deep in it. Wouldn't expect anything less from the Hooper. It's in the name. But yeah, of course, keep the super chats coming. Always appreciated. We'll get to those shortly. But first things first, I want to let's just jump straight into the Dynamite review. I'm thinking. So yeah, AEW Dynamite live from the Wintrust Arena in Chicago. Crowd was good. And 1 sec, I'm just having a little mishap if I can't scroll. There we go. Got the results and everything up here. Yeah, AEW Dynamite live from Chicago. Good crowd. On paper, I didn't see too many people overjoyed and excited for the card, But I think overall it was a decent show. But yeah, man, let's dive into it. First thing we got on the show was the Guns. They defeated the Hardys. But they didn't defeat the Hardys by themselves. There was, of course, a bunch of interruptions towards the end of the match. Bullet Club Gold, Jay White, Juice Robinson got involved by pushing Jeff Hardy off the top rope behind the referee's back. Guns hit the finisher, won the match. After the match, the Guns, Bullet Club Gold, they all attack the Hardys. Ricky Starks attempts to make the save, fails because, of course, he gets outnumbered. FTR, they tried to get involved. Huge pop for them. But also, they also ended up failing. And then there was a chance for CM Punk, and then CM Punk makes his big return to Dynamite. He makes the run-in. He evens up the score in the ring. the baby faces clear the ring of the heels. There's the baby faces, they all kind of link up together. There's all victorious chants, etc., etc. Punk grabs a mic, says he's not supposed to be here, but you'll see those guys on Collision next week. Yeah, man, it was only a quick CM Punk return to Dynamite, but the crowd was very happy to see him. And he set up a match for, even though I believe that he misspoke because he said next week, and I believe the match was announced for this week. So, he set up a match for later in the week. So, a nice little bit of business. And I would say that the Guns versus the Hardy was definitely a match, as we previewed yesterday. It was kind of like, we was kind of skeptical about, to say at least. But I think he had good heat, and they did what they kind of needed to do, and as a whole segment to open the show, I felt like it worked. Joe, what did you think of this one?
Yeah, I agree. I definitely thought the match was better than expected. I thought, credit to them, I thought the Guns were really, really damn good in the opening match. Now, I don't want to overstate the match itself. It's just a decent little match. Didn't go particularly long as it shouldn't, but I thought the Guns were good, and they certainly push me to my personal limits in terms of the way they take bumps and the way they do that stuff. I mean, it's very, very excessive, and I understand that's their quirk. It can be jarring for me sometimes just how far they go with it. But I thought in this particular scenario it worked because, let's be frank, and I don't mean this is a slight on the fellas, but at this point in their careers, the Hardys need some help in that regard anyway, right? In terms of making their stuff look, like it has some zip and some intensity. So I thought they did an admirable job. And, if nothing else, you can always get heat on Jeff as a babyface in peril. So I actually thought they had a decent little match. The post-match I thought was really, really exciting. Kind of build up of babyface saves, right? They liked Ricky, they loved FTR, and obviously they adored CM Punk. And it was very funny the way Punk used his 30 seconds of promo time to make it clear that he is in fact a Collision guy. I sense we are headed to a world in which no one takes the split seriously other than Punk, which is very funny to me. Like everyone's back and forth because Tony's giving out on him. Punk's still like, Saturdays is where it's done.
Andrade seems to be taking it pretty seriously as well.
True. I actually like
waving
that.
the flag.
Like that one. Indeed, I like that. So I thought this was a good piece of business, as you said, and shout out to the Guns for a nice performance in the opening match. And the Hardys, look, if nothing else, people love the Hardys, right? Like you see in the opening spot how much they love them. So I enjoyed this first block of the show for sure.
Yeah, man, good stuff. Charlie, did you enjoy this one? What do you think?
Yeah, I thought it was pretty solid. It definitely wasn't what I thought it was going to be in terms of quality. They definitely succeeded that. I thought it was a lot of fun, honestly. I kind of like the Guns' excessive selling. I think it's quite funny. I just enjoy them as an act, mostly outside of their wrestling. So when they can get me to enjoy their wrestling as well, I'm a lot more all in on them as a tag team. The post-match stuff was just really fun. I thought it was great, and I guess it is Guns up for the Bang Bang Gang. So we'll see where this goes on Collision. Can't wait to see that match.
I was hoping that would never get quoted again on here, but here we are. But we're rolling with
I've got to do it.
Manny, what did you think of this? The match, and of course, most importantly, Punk's big return to Dynamite and the kind of angle and how much crowd was into that.
Well, they welcomed him a hero. That's all I can say for CM Punk's re-debut of Dynamite. And honestly, if this match took me back to a time of early WWF tag team wrestling, that's what it took me to. And it was really solid and fun. It's probably my favorite thing on the show. And then also the promo that they did during the show, where Juice Robinson was talking about how he takes 8 hours a nap or 8 hours sleep. That was really good stuff.
I watched that. Yeah, that was really good.
If there's one thing that Manny the Hooper is a revered expert of, it's early WWF tag team wrestling. He's very, very well versed in that regard. So it's interesting you saw that, Manny. I may have to dig into the old archives for that one. Yeah, it's interesting. Very nice.
He's a well-cultured man, He's in everything far and wide. Yeah, it's the Hooper, bro, It's what we're dealing with here. But yeah, after all this, we went straight into Mark Briscoe versus Jeff Jarrett in the concession stand brawl. Yeah, man, this is definitely different, of course, as it was meant to be, And yeah, man, I guess it was a bit of fun, It was all right. I wasn't like super into it or anything, but you know, it didn't offend me in any way. But yeah, it was a fun match. Of course, took us around the whole arena. There was a lot of use of props and stuff like that, and then towards the end there was like loads of interferences, but like not a nauseating amount or anything. Like it was just, you know, it was just a fun concession stand brawl, whatever it's called, match. You know, Charlie, what did you think of this one?
I thought it was like, for what it was a good time. It wasn't something that I was particularly like into. I just like seeing Mark Briscoe wrestle, and that's what I was here for. And like all the run-ins at the end with like Papa Briscoe and the Lucha Brothers, Christopher Daniels and Best Friends, that popped me huge. And I was like, yeah, this is the kind of shit I was here for in this kind of match. So I enjoyed it for what it was.
Yeah, man, Papa Briscoe putting Jay Lethal for a table was definitely one of the highlights. But yeah, towards the end, it all kind of, you know, unfolded into basically chaos. You know, Satnam coming down and then four men having to come down to like tumble him, and including the Lucha Bros. Phoenix done a crazy dive. Yeah, man, it was quite chaotic towards the end. Joe, what did you think of this one?
So before I go any further, I want to kind of establish I did not see the Aubrey Edwards tag, which it seems to have been when a lot of people like lost their way with this feud. With that established, I have to say that I thought this was fucking awesome. I loved this match, and I was amazed to see that it was like a terribly divisive and polarizing affair that has like a 5 on cage match. I thought this was an absolute.
Sounds a bit harsh.
Jeff Jarrett sporting like just absurd amount of mustard in his hair, and Mark still opting to drag him by the hair at every turn was an incredible detail, I thought. Throwing literal hot dogs at a man, incredible. Paper plates. I mean, this is the kind of graps I'm looking for, quite frankly. Mark Briscoe also finding the time to throw like the best work punches on the show in this match. Tremendous. The Papa Briscoe spot where Jay Lethal only recognized him once he took his hat off, even though he wasn't wearing a mask. Even better. So many things to enjoy about this, and it went 8 minutes, I believe, was the exact runtime for this match. They got in all these run-ins. I mean, I know it's not for everyone. I'm obviously being silly and saying I'm surprised there wasn't, but I honestly thought this was like a blast. I thought this was really fun TV.
It was fun, man.
Yeah, I actually really enjoyed it. I get why Jarrett is like, he's on the show a lot, so I totally get it. But personally, I thought it was a hoot.
Good stuff. Manny, what did you think?
This was fun. I feel bad for the people who have to clean this mess up after. Just, you know, the workers. And then Son Unseen, man, he's fucking awesome, bro. I need to see him wrestle some more. He just comes out there looking like a boss, you know, just taking all this offense. He's awesome. I wish he wrestles like in a suit because it just makes him look even so much cooler. And then Papa Briscoe has built him up, man. He has the right stuff to be a champion in AEW. You see the way he throws those lariats?
He did a choke slam, bro. So awesome.
Where did Mark Briscoe get all these luchador friends, bro? I don't know where he gets them from. You see how they all came down and helped him? Oh, and Christopher Daniels.
He teamed with the Lucha Brothers, like Revolution. I saw that match live. Like that's why I knew that they had come down. But
yeah, because then when they won the belts, that was the whole thing, right? They was like Mark's friends won the belts. Manny, you reviewed all of this stuff. What is
This was right in between the finals, man. What do you expect? I can't remember everything.
It's somewhat based in lore, so it's gone completely over his head.
Fair. That's fair.
Yeah. Yeah, happens to the best of us, especially the Hooper. But yeah, this was definitely a fun time, you know. Not for everyone, of course, as these things, well, they're never going to be, you know, it's literally a concession stand brawl, you know, Jeff Jarrett and Mark Briscoe. So, yeah, well, good shit, we thought. All right, next up, we had the Blackpool Combat Club promo. And yeah, basically the gist of this is Moxie challenges the Elite to a 5 versus 5 match, which will include, on the Blackpool Combat Club side, it will be himself, Takeshita, Wheeler Yuta, Claudio, and New Japan Shota Umino versus the Elite. And on that side, it will be Hangman Page, the Young Bucks, and 2 other wrestlers that the Elite need to find to team with them. Bryan Danielson then takes over the promo to build his segment later. Hints at Okada's a coward if he doesn't show up when he calls him out. And of course, building a match for Forbidden Door. But yeah, man. Of course, we know who the other two members are going to be, as it was revealed later in the show, Eddie Kingston and Tomohiro Ishii. It's going to be a good one, you know. I don't think anyone is expecting less. But yeah, I was actually quite... I don't know if I want to say surprised is the right word, but I wasn't like expecting this on Forbidden Door. Yeah, Charlie, I'll throw it to you first. What did you make of... Of course, this is a great promo, because all Blackpool Club promos, Blackpool Combat Club promos are. But what did you think of the segment and, of course, the matchup? It seems like we're getting.
It wasn't really the match I was expecting. Like, them throwing Takeshita back with Blackpool Combat Club, it's just like every time I think I've cracked it, they just throw another curveball at me. I'm just like, okay, I guess I'll just let it play out at this point. But no, I'm really excited for it. Like, that is like an insane lineup for this 10-man tag. Like, the amount of talent in it is kind of crazy, which makes, like, it goes to show, like, for the rest of the card that they can put this caliber of talent in a match and the rest of the card doesn't suffer for it. So I'm really excited for this one. It's going to be a good time. There's so much story, like layers of story in this match as well.
Really good shit. Manny, you fired up for this fight. Tell the people about it, man.
It was awesome, bro. I don't know if it was vintage or not, man. That's what distracted me the whole time. He just looked like a fucking boss. That's all I gotta say.
Captivating stuff.
Manny left the first like 20 minutes of this show. Man, I need that Takeshi Satnam Singh match, and honestly, he might be on the same, bro. He might be on the same. I don't know.
He usually is, man. You know, if you dig deep enough, you'll find what Manny's onto. You know. But yeah, Joe.
Somebody's super motion with Tony Khan getting Bellator.
Well, don't want to burst your bubble, but we'll get to it. You know. Joe, what did you make of this segment, match announcement, etc., etc.?
This was an interesting deal because I think we all knew that Eddie was going to team up with the Elite at some juncture against Blackpool Combat Club, but I'm not sure any of us quite saw it coming this soon, right? Which was interesting. Even last night, I went in the complete opposite direction and wondered if he'd be teaming with Moxley on this occasion. So, interesting. I like the way it gave the show a hook throughout the night. You had a follow-up, as we'll get to, and then it was the final segment. I thought that was pretty, honestly, they don't do that stuff often enough, frankly. So I thought that was neat, and Moxie's always a great promo. I mean, he had one line about Takeshita, and it made Takeshita look even better than ever. So, like, that's the art of doing a promo. And also, it's not just doing the promo, Moxley's reaction to Brian's promo, right? Like, the Moxley's the glee on his face as he was shit-talking Okada, like, you're asking for it, but I can't wait to see what happens, so... I like this a lot. I always love seeing those guys on TV.
Yeah, man. Definitely going to be a good one this week and on Forbidden Door. Next up, we had Chris Jericho, Sammy Guevara, and Minoru Suzuki defeating Action Andretti, AR Fox, and Darius Martin. Yeah, man. So, like I said, Chris Jericho, Sammy, and Suzuki, they get the win after the match. Renee gets in the ring to interview Jericho, and she asks him about Sting, who he came face-to-face with last week. Jericho then calls Sting a whore. challenges Sting to a 6-man tag. Himself, Suzuki, and Guevara versus Sting, Darby, and an opponent of their choosing. Sting then makes his entrance, and Sting and Darby pretty much accept the challenge, and they say that they will announce their third man on Saturday's Collision. So, what did you guys think of the match? And of course, any guesses to who the third man might be? I'll throw it to you first, Charlie.
I thought the match was a lot of fun. Like, just like seeing Suzuki wrestle like anytime is a lot of fun, and throwing him in with high flyers always makes me laugh because he'll always bring them down to his level. So like those interactions were a lot of fun. And AR Fox got his shit in. Like Darius and Action Andretti had some cool spots, and Sammy got his shit in as well. I just thought it was a really good time. I don't know who the third man's going to be. I've seen a lot of random names thrown around. I don't think it's Goldberg. Sorry to disappoint anyone that's wanting it to be Goldberg. I've seen like Naito, Shingo, which both would make sense. I thought like the emphasis they were putting on time, I was just like, is it Hiromu? But I have no idea. It'll be fun no matter if it's like any of those three guys. It'll be fun. So
Definitely a few options. Joe?
Well, I think just quickly to kind of piggyback off who the third man is, I think they're the three names, right? Because Shingo and Hiromu were linked with Sting and Darby last year. Obviously, Hiromu couldn't make the show, but they were the dudes of attitudes, intended to be anyway. And Shingo made the show, of course. But he did say about you've got quite a few rivals and enemies, and that would suggest Naito. So I think Naito, as for the match, is becoming a theme as we do this show. Exceeded expectations. I thought this was a really weird match on paper, as I was probably clear by my face when we talked about it last night. I was kind of not that I thought it would be bad. It just was slightly strange usage of the guys involved. I thought on the kind of star team. Big time credit to Jericho, who really I thought made an effort of picking up the slack and allowing Suzuki to just do the Suzuki things. Right, you don't want Suzuki out there trying to, feed Darius Martin necessarily. You want him to just hit people and do his act. So. They allowed Suzuki to play the hits, and a lot of that was Jericho working super, super hard alongside Sammy, who we expected to play that role. So I thought the match exceeded expectations. I thought it was a hoot, actually, and man, the crowd loved it. They always love seeing Suzuki, so there's no surprise. But yeah, I actually really enjoyed it. I thought it was a triumph, to be honest.
Good stuff. Manu, any guesses to who the third man might be, and any thoughts on the match at all?
I think a sleeper is Ultimo Dragon.
Okay. Fair.
Yeah, I just want Jericho really worked his ass off towards the end of the match. He started going not super speed, Jericho, super fast Jericho speed. He was just keeping up with Darius at different parts of the match, which was really cool and fun little match. Suzuki rules when he's ever on TV.
He does. I'm leaning towards Naito. I'm with you on that one, Hall. But the Derby line about old enemies, it's just kind of
and also building up to it. Naito's the biggest pop for the audience too, right? If the candidate, Shingo's obviously a star in his own right, so's Hiromu, but
he's all. Naito
is the one that crowd will most explode for, and I think
he wasn't on the show last year, was he? Oh.
No, he was not. Let's be real. The real headline here is Sting and Suzuki doing the dance, right? That is, you talk about some fire pro wrestling business. That's outrageous. That's tremendous. So, a lot to like here for sure.
That's good shit. Before we continue, we've got a couple of super chats. Keep them coming. We always appreciate them. Darren Cagey, $5. Oh my, we got the WrestlePurists flagship pod followed by Late Night Grin. Feels like I'm watching a double feature at the theatre. Good to listen. Like we said at the start of the podcast, it's great times. You know what I mean, mate? If you're not subscribed to the Late Night Grin, then do it. Because that's where the Hulbert and Co. and Manu and Co. will be directly after this one. So beautiful stuff. Always appreciate you, Darren. Sif Rich Rogan, $5. Punk increases the demo number for Dynamite, but the Elite have a better quarter hour than Punk. Everybody wins. Everybody does win because good graps, good graps is about right now, good stuff. Pylons, $5. Juice Robinson for most improved 2023. It'd be interesting to put him in that category because it's kind of like he's found himself again rather than
it's like a return to form.
Rather than like Mina Shirakawa last year, she literally went from point A to point B. Do you know what I mean? Whereas
who's the favourite right now for that award?
I don't know. It's still a bit early, don't you think? We're in.
Is there a guy who's? Yeah, no, for sure. But is there an early story of that ilk? Because I'm with you. I don't think Juice fits the description. Is there someone who we're seeing kind of do this as we go here? What do you reckon?
I don't know, man. I don't know.
You seemed amused there by an option. Was you thinking Dom Mysterio or some shit?
No, of course not. Any suggestions in the chat? Sky Blue is a good show.
Yes,
I feel like we can maybe go one step further with Sky Blue. She's coming along nicely. She's not. I don't want to put the goal down or anything. I think she's actually coming. Like I just said, she's coming along nicely.
Daniel Garcia.
What about this year now? But
Daniel Garcia is just, he's just great. It's Oh no, man! I say that about Sky Blue, but I've drew a blank myself. So
I think Sky is probably the current kind of leader of that. And again, obviously,
like
we're
the
in
most
June.
obvious
Yeah.
one. Yeah.
But she's the story that through half of the year, you said to me, name a story of a wrestler who's like visibly improved this year alone. I think Sky is probably the best answer. So
Yeah.
shout out to Adam in the chat for that one. Good answer.
MJF.
Depends who you ask.
Sonada, you know, depends who you are.
I mean, depending on where Jack Perry ends up this year, you could go with
Jack Perry. That could be like, but like I was saying, we're in June, you know, so
yeah.
You know,
we'll circle back to this, folks, in December.
Yeah,
absolutely. You know, awards coming out. You know, that's what we do with professional platform over here. So that was a Jericho Sting business. Next up on Dynamite. Actually, let's get this one more super chat out of the way. Tri-Town Spurs, $5. Appreciate you very much as always. The Guns carried old Hardys. Thinking them as an annoying tag team and BC Gold pin eaters is perfect for them. Yeah, man, if you're going to find a role for them, it would be something like that, you know? So, yeah, man, definitely put out a decent account of themselves last night, you know what I mean? They didn't stink it up or anything, so good on them. AEW Dynamite, back to it. Next thing we had was the tag team blind eliminator tournament draw. Tony Schiavone and RJC randomly draw the first two names who will be teaming together in the tournament, but they don't show us or tell us who they are, so they just...
I got so annoyed.
So for like the next like 5-10 minutes before it's actually revealed who they are, this is very like grating. You know, it's like what the fuck.
I know they just wanted to do the latest segment, but it's like,
of course, yeah. Just
throw something up on screen or announce it on commentary. You didn't need to do this whole backstage segment this week. I don't know. It just annoyed me because I was just like, well, tell me the names now. Like,
rightly so. This was bullshit. This is not how draws work. Yeah. You don't tune into a draw to see the bloke get excited and not tell you who's in the fucking thing. That's not how it works. Why not? I've seen sports. Listen, this is not how they work. Listen, folks. There are many things people accuse of being false advertising and get very mad about on the internet. I'm never involved in these conversations. I do not care. However, if you promise me something that's purely for a sicko like myself on the television show, such as this, you got to deliver on this. No one even cared about this other than like a few of us. Let us enjoy ourselves, you know? Shivani's keeping it to himself. Why even advertise it that there was a draw this week? I didn't even get to see it. You know?
It was bizarre.
This is the most disgusting promotional tactic. I'm outraged by this.
It feels like they've also like announced like the biggest team of it, and that's meant to keep you hooked for next week. It's just like, I don't know,
I will say,
announce that they're both viable people in it. That would have also worked.
Yes. That segment made it, like, obviously I'm being performative here, folks. That segment obviously made us realize why they did it this way. But I was like legitimately quite frustrated when Tony was just like, see you next week. I was like, oh. Yeah. It's like 8 shows until next week, Tony.
Yeah, man, you know? It was, like I said, it was bizarre, man. It was bizarre, but you know, moving on. We had the Elite, their response promo. Yeah, you know, it's the Elite. They cut a promo on the Blackpool Combat Club, including accepting their challenge to the 5-on-5 match, where they will find 2 members to team with them. Eddie Kingston then comes into the frame, says that he's happy to join them in this, basically, purely out of his hatred for Claudio. But he also gets to pick the 5th man and the Elite accept Eddie's terms. Yeah, this is good stuff, man. You know, Eddie just kind of throwing himself into the mix and laying down his laws, you know, as only Eddie could. It was interesting as well, like the way that, because of course it's in Chicago, so as you expect, as soon as the Elite come on the big screen, there was like a divisive reaction. They got quite a few boos and stuff like that. As soon as Eddie comes into the picture, everyone brightens up, you know, like everyone, everywhere loves Eddie Kingston. And we love to see it. Happy to have him back. Hulbert, what did you think of, you know, Eddie throwing himself in there with the Elite?
Well, I certainly like the segment, and more specifically, Eddie's kind of part in this story, I think, is rather compelling. And I appreciated, to your point, Charlie, last night, you know, Eddie didn't forget the feud you were referencing, right, with the Bucks, which was an extended feud. So I was relieved with that, because Eddie is the kind of character who needs to be consistent in that regard. It's important he is because the people believe in him. So I like that. The one thing I would say is last night we said, in terms of the Elite missing the show live, we'll see what they do. I really think they'd have been well served to separate Kenny from the pack for a solo promo on Ospreay. I think this was fine for what the Elite are doing on the weekend, and the Bucks being like, Kenny's already working, so we need other guys than the Eddie thing. I think they would have been, honestly, and I think they had the time to, because some of these matches could have been shaved. We'll get to the kind of main match, which I enjoyed, but could have been shorter. Finding just a couple minutes in this show for a Kenny promo that was more of a money promo about Ospreay, I think would have helped. I think the matches with that audience, which includes the 4 people on the screen, to be clear, I think it's sold enough because the first match was so great and people love both guys. But that doesn't mean as a promoter you shouldn't still do it justice by giving it an extra push on the go home. And I think Kenny could add a more serious, straightforward promo at Ospreay. So that's one thing I would note. But the actual segment itself, I like. That's more of a thing they could have done elsewhere. So yeah.
Absolutely. Charlie, what did you make of this pre-tape promo and just kind of how they decided to do the build on this week's Dynamite towards this weekend's happenings?
Yeah, I pretty much agree with Joe on like the whole Kenny thing. It's just like it kind of felt like because they did such a big angle last week, they didn't really feel like they needed to do something to follow up on this week, which I get. Like, people are just sold on that match anyways. But it would have been nice to hear him at least say something about it this week, like just as that little last push of this match is really happening on this show. But like, as for like the segment itself, it just popped me huge that Eddie and Matt immediately started arguing because of like the feud they had in 2021 about in the fucking Dior shoes and all of that. That just made me laugh a lot. But I really liked it. Like Eddie just coming in and being like, well, if I'm going to be the 4th, I'm picking the 5th. And it's like, yeah, okay, fair enough. So, and I will say, I did correctly predict, like when the Blackpool Combat Club did their thing, I was just like, oh, it's going to be Eddie and Ishii. And then I was right. So I was just like, yes, thank you.
It rules.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty easy to figure out. But...
It was. And that says a lot about Eddie Kingston's character because he has never shown any real affinity for Ishii. In fact, after their first match, he actively seemed mad about the fact he lost and left the ring in a hump. The second time, I think Ishii was mad, and Eddie was like, "Everyone chant Ishii." But as he said, it's not that he likes Ishii. He just, they fought an awful lot, so they trust each other. So that fits those guys for sure. I like the deal. Good stuff.
Like Ishii's like champions with Okada and Tanahashi's like in New Japan as well, and obviously Tanahashi's got business going on elsewhere. And they're in the same G1 block. There's a lot of layers to this. It made a lot of sense.
Agree.
And Ishii and Moxie don't get along either.
Yes.
Yeah. And that was a great, we'll get to it, but Moxley sold that accordingly, right? When he was announced. There was definitely a look at that in his face for sure.
It was like, it's just like another little dig at Mox choosing Ishii. It was just a really good choice.
Yeah, man. Manny, what did you think of the 5-man team of the Hung Bucks and Eddie and Ishii?
I mean, everybody said it best they can already. Just it's gonna be one of the best 10-man tags ever, probably.
Absolutely. I don't think that would surprise anybody at all. All right. So next up, Adam Cole in-ring promo. We hear from him. Comes out. He cuts a promo about how he came so close, but he couldn't get the job done in the match with MJF for the world title last week, and how he couldn't win, but MJF didn't win either. He then calls out MJF and the two go back and forth a little. Tony Schiavone then interrupts them to tell them that they were the two names drawn randomly in the previous segment. Both MJF and Adam Cole tell Schiavone to shut up at the same time. Have this weird, awkward moment where they stay at each other. The crowd absolutely loved that. They're like, there's a pop and there's like the crowd laughing, They absolutely love that. So, they're going to be tagging together as announced by Schiavone in the Blind Eliminator tournament. As expected, neither man is happy about this. MJF also throws a tantrum about having to wrestle again. Then Tanahashi comes up on the screen. He then, kind of lays down his challenge even more for Forbidden Door, just like he did last week. Even though MJF didn't want the match, and this causes Adam Cole to pressure him basically into saying that he wants the match and not to be a coward, with the crowd urging him on. MJF finally caves in, says he will show up and face Tanahashi at Forbidden Door. I thought this, especially like considering like our usual criticisms of MJF like segments of going, you know, he comes out and it takes forever to get to his point and it takes a long time to drive the point home. This didn't feel very long at all. I didn't have my stopwatch out, but it felt like this didn't take up too much time and it kind of got to the point with every part of it very quickly and it was entertaining. It was good shit. I like this. Charlie, what did you think?
Yeah, I enjoyed this segment. It definitely didn't overstay its welcome, and MJF was like actually showing character here. Like, yeah, it's like pretty surface level stuff, and like he just bounces off well with Adam Cole. Them teaming together is just really funny to me, and it does feel like kind of WWE in that respect. But I'm just gonna let it play out and see what happens with this, because I just think it could be really fucking funny. And then if like MJF like turns at the very end and like gets even more heat on himself out of this, and like Adam Cole gets even more over, like they're just gonna come out better off. So I'm cautiously optimistic.
Good stuff. Joe, did you enjoy this?
I did very, very much, actually. I was kind of surprised how much I enjoyed it. I don't want to be dramatic, but it really felt like last week's performance. Like, it felt like Cole was a different dude to me this week. He seems so confident. And I think he's looked kind of, on the mic also, I think he's looked a little, I don't want to say jittery, but not quite as sure of himself since he came back. You know, there's been a certain swagger missing, to me anyway, in fear of going full MJF promo with it. And it did feel like he felt good out there. And he was great in this segment. And the presentation was such that was how he was supposed to look, but he was actually great in it from a performance point of view. As was MJF, and as you said, the cute moment with Shivani was neat and got a great reaction. And they achieved a lot here in what I believe was a 6 or 7 minute segment. More of this. You can do that. That's possible, believe it or not. You know, it doesn't have to be a 30-second pre-tape or a 15-minute in-ring. There's a middle ground there. And they found it here. I like this segment a lot. I do have to quickly note the video, like the quality of video that Tanahashi produced for this segment was incredible. Like for some reason it kept breaking up, so the screen was like blacking out, and he looked like it was an incredible deal. He like Manny the Hooper here tonight on the show, in fact. So yeah, that was fun. That was a nice kind of addition to it. But I like this. As for the tag direction, I know that like for a lot of people it is immediate, like, you know, will they coexist? Can they coexist? And I get it. That's the thing they've overdone in WWE. I'm sorry to say, folks, that's just real grabs, though. You know, like putting these two dudes in a team, you're going to be able to get a great TV main event out of this where they wrestle a different team and inevitably it breaks up and they lose the match. It'll make the other guys look good. We said last night that, you know, they were inevitably going to put rivals in a team for this tournament. I don't think any of us expected they were going to go as high on the card as these two who are, you know, in the world title program. So I think it makes the tournament look better. It's going to help a team that eventually beats these guys. And as Charlie said, there should be a turn at the end or an angle of some kind at the end that gets some heat on Max. So big thumbs up. 2 weeks straight for this program. Good stuff.
Yeah, it's you kind of said it yourself, but you know, can they coexist? It's real grabs, man. It's just it's me and you have said this for like months on these podcasts. Now it's like there's certain tropes that WWE have done over the past 20 years or so that are definitely tropes to them because they've overdone them or they've done them poorly. Whether that be can they coexist storylines, whether that be DQs, whether that be brand splits, whether that be whatever it is, you know. But sometimes these things just are not just inherently bad just because they are what they are sort of thing. It's like MJF and Adam Cole doing a can they coexist kind of thing makes sense because, as Charlie mentioned, like they have good chemistry, man. You know, like they have good comedic chemistry and stuff like that. And it'll be good shit, bro. Like, so yeah, just because it's can they coexist, it's not like, oh, they're doing shitty WWE stuff. It's real also, fucking grabs, you know?
It's also important to note that, like, it is the entire point almost of what this tournament, the bit of this tournament is. You always do the bit where the rivals put together. And that isn't a WWE, that's not their thing. You know, that they've never done this as far as I know, unless I'm mistaken. They've never done the Leap Lottery thing. Yeah, it's like, so it's different when they just throw a graphic up and are like, here are our two top wrestlers doing a match for the sake of can they. That's one thing. I don't hate it personally, but I get why it's kind of like lazy. But the whole point of this is that, you know, it's anyone can be drawn in a team. Anyway, Manny, what did you think?
Didn't they do this stuff during the SmackDown 6 when it was like
they may have, yeah. This is
with Angle and Benny, and then
Yeah,
Ray
Paulie
and
loves this
Ed.
trope. Paulie was like the guy who really brought it to their TV a lot in the early 2000s. But yeah, go on, Manny. What you gonna say, mate? Like the segment?
No, I was just saying. Yeah, it was cool. I mean, I wish that they did more like mixed match tag team like this, and then they just wrestle other stars on the roster and all that, because this is pretty cool. You know, they're not gonna get along, but some of my it's gonna lead to a lot of funny dynamics, and like when the eventual breakup happens after they have like a fun run or two of matches, it's just gonna be fun in the end. And I knew Adam Cole still had it in him, so I'm glad he's going to be the future AEW World Champion. Let's go.
Well, also, Brandon brings up in the chat, MJF being absolutely like baffled at the notion that he's expected to wrestle every week was very good, genuinely. And what did he say? You must be some kind of sick pervert, I think was his declaration, which that's good stuff also. So I like this a lot.
And I also like how this is different from all the other belts he's had so far, from every other guy, where they have to go through somebody. Yeah.
Well, it feels like Cole's outwitting him, right? Which is kind of a new dynamic to me anyway. I could be wrong. But it feels like a new dynamic for Max, honestly.
It's like 2 weeks in a row, right?
Accepting the match with him. He goaded him into accepting the match with Tanahashi. Like, what's he gonna goad him into next? Like,
it's good stuff. I like it.
Yeah, pretty much. Like,
no, it's just handing the belt over. Got you. Max drops to his knees. Oh my!
I mean, Luchasaurus did it with Christian. Why can't MJF do it with Adam Cole?
Bro. Well,
It's definitely a suggestion. Yeah, I'll make sure the pitch gets to TK. You know,
I'm interested to see what other tag teams come out of this now. Like, they've got me like doing this. They've got my hopes up for some really funny tag teams. So I hope they deliver on that.
Satnam Singh and Roddy Strong out there. You know, like,
you should have you do this bit.
Need weird shit, bro. You know,
you need weird ones that will never tee up again, and you should put a couple of guys together that you think maybe, just maybe, they've got a shot. You know, like that's because there's certainly guys on the roster who could benefit from that. Like, look, I know it's not the most sexy name, but like, I'm sure there's a guy you can find for Sean Spears to be tag partners with, right? Like, I mean, you do need to try some teams with this, and they can be kind of your little projects within it, because, you know, star power wise, you've already got two of the biggest stars.
I want to see Christian in a team with someone. I don't know who, but I want to see Christian involved. Oh my god, could you imagine if it's like Christian and Hook? That would be really funny.
Yeah. That's real. That's very, very real.
I already know in my head, knowing TK, like, this is gonna be the only cool tag team. The rest are gonna be shitters, and it's gonna be like, fuck, man.
Yeah, that's like what I worry about a little bit, but I can hope.
I can't really question
the doubt, you know?
I just immediately brought up Sean Spears, so I mean, I'm gonna have to live with a lot, you know.
Look, Joe, let me pitch you an idea here. Sean Spears, John Morrison.
No, absolutely not. Look, folks, I'm hoping for the big man getting a contract, it seems, but you ain't pitching me any ideas of him right now. I got 2 ways to go. Okay, we'll build up to it, Manny. We'll see.
I want
definitely need to build up to that one.
And a luchador, because I feel like that would just be really fun.
Lance
is one that, oh my god, Lance Archer and Commander. That's the team I want.
That would be incredible. Just hurl him around. Yeah.
Yes.
They also need to find. I'm assuming they're going to try and find a new partner for Ortiz, right? Would be my guess, because it feels like, I mean, I like Ortiz a lot, but as a singles, it's like I don't know if there's a lot for Ortiz to do in that.
And newly reformed Santana, you know.
Well, I'm assuming that's out of the. I'm assuming that's out of the question. We'll see.
Well, I mean, they're both singles wrestlers now.
They are. We'll see, folks.
Well,
you want to be pride if you want to be powerful.
Be interesting. But yeah, they just gotta do weird shit. As I keep saying, even if you just, you know, I'm not his biggest fan in the world. You know what I mean? I ain't someone who's clamoring to see him on TV, but you know, you throw Danhausen in something like this. You know, the people who fucking come up for him huge. It's just like you just do weird shit. You know?
Yeah.
And obviously Danhausen being Danhausen, there's always the opportunity for him to have a funny dynamic with whoever his partner might be. But yeah, let's talk some real fucking business. Next up, the Owen Hart tournament brackets were announced.
Completed it,
They
mate.
were
We've completed it.
announced. They were announced. They were announced specifically for me. It felt. So the men's bracket, we'll start with that one. We have CM Punk versus Tochikojima, which will also be taking place on Forbidden Door. So that's CM Punk's Forbidden Door match sorted. We are getting Roderick Strong versus Samoa Joe on AEW Collision, which is just that's just fucking pornographic, Yeah, that's my quick thought on that. We have Dustin Rhodes versus Powerhouse Hobbs, which is also just a lovely bit of business. And we have Juice Robinson versus Ricky Starks, which I'm sure will also be good as well. Joe, we won again.
It's getting ridiculous now. I feel embarrassed. I feel shame. Like I
feel dirty.
Like the graphic came up, and I walked over to the mirror and was like, "What have I done to deserve this? What did I do?" Started pinching myself, wondering if I actually died and was living in some sort of alternate dimension. I'm not used to winning at all, let alone winning so often in such a short span. It feels like I'm kind of, I don't know, something's going on right now. I can't quite figure out what, but this match,
it's good shit.
It's one thing to throw a graphic up and have Roddy and Joe in separate quarterfinal matches and make me wonder if I was getting it. But to just say it to me, bing bong, there it is. There it is, slotted bottom left of your screen, mate. Don't worry about it. I mean, it's as good as it gets. It really is. So, this is a tournament that is like specifically aimed for my enjoyment. If I truly believe and feel, maybe not intentionally so, but at least how it's come out. So, I have no critiques whatsoever. I just think it looks fucking awesome. And I also think the winner is coming from the right side of that graphic or that bracket. I think one of Punk's, projects that he's mentioned with Collision, right, with Hobbs and Ricky, I think they're winning this tournament, which is maybe bold. I don't know, but I don't think Punk's winning this tournament. So it'll be intriguing how this develops. But I'm thrilled. Roddy and Joe that's as good as it gets, brother. Fired up.
Beautiful stuff. Manny, using my DMs, tears of joy. Tell the people how you're feeling about this bracket, brother.
The real's back, man. I mean, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, I don't even know where to go because I saw the graphic of Punk Kojima and I was just like, fuck, man, that's going to be awesome. And then you see the bottom and you see Roderick Strong and Samoa Joe. That's incredible. And part of me is just like, bro, anybody can win this thing. I mean, not really. Okay. Nah, not I say it out loud. It's obviously going to be Punk versus either Roderick Strong or Samoa Joe. But it depends on which one they want to go to first. You think they're going to want to burn the Samoa Joe match like that right away? Or they're going to go with but I can't also see Roddy, like, beating Samoa Joe. So right now, just even talking out loud about it and putting myself in a blender.
I think we're getting Punk Joe. I think the question more is, is that the first of a 2-match series? You know what I'm saying? Like, does Joe win that match and then put over Ricky Starks, perhaps, or whatever it may be? I don't know. It's one of those deals where, like, Punk is probably going to make it to the final, and I think he's probably going to wrestle Hobbs, with my guess. Mm-hmm. Whether he puts Hobbs over or not, time will tell. That's my actual guess, I think, right now.
I don't know if I want Punk to beat Joe the first time around, though.
Yeah, that's the big question, I think. But either way, I mean, it's just so fucking real.
And the right side is it's cool. I mean, there's story there, but
I don't know. Dustin's gonna.
Yeah, I was gonna say, look, the left side is obviously just fucking, smut. I
know, but
the right side is good shit, man. Dustin versus
Hobbs.
Dustin's gonna sell, bro. He's gonna sell.
Bleed everywhere, man.
It's real gross.
It's gonna be awesome, but at the same time, like, part of me is like, I don't know if anybody on the right should be beating anybody on the left. But
I feel like you're not focusing enough on the picture we're trying to paint here, Manny. Okay.
Yeah.
Powerhouse Hobbs is gonna hit like a shoulder tackle. Dustin's gonna roll to the floor and he's gonna come up just fucking covered in blood. Like, I mean, just pouring blood. JR, I don't know if JR's gonna be on commentary at that point, but Nigel's gonna say some like absurd metaphor. that gets Manny the Hooper very fired up on Twitter.com about blood, and he's going to write a feature about it. And Dustin's going to be like limping around. I mean, it's just real, isn't it? It's the only way you can describe it. I'm sorry, I haven't got any better words for it than that. It's just real.
Yeah, it's very beautiful stuff, you know. Yeah, Charlie, of course, we've kind of, you know, circle jerked about this fucking his bracket. How do you feel about it?
I mean, I had to go back to it because I saw Roddy and Joe, and then I just kind of blacked out and missed like the other three like brackets. I was so focused on that match, I like missed the other three. But like, it's really cool. I like the fact that they've put like a lot of like top level players in this, like, and people that they clearly want to push in the future. So, but I am with the idea that either Ricky or Hobbs is winning this whole thing. I don't think Punk's winning. He's going to get to the finals, but I think he's going to put someone over. And it's going to be a great moment, like getting a win over Punk's. Like no matter what you think of the guy, that's always going to be a big thing for these talents. So I want it to be Hobbs' tournament. I think that's the story you should tell.
Yeah, it's what Josh said as well. I'm getting the feeling of Hobbs or Ricky, to be honest. Yeah, either or, man. I think. Go on, man.
I'm gonna say the last time they wrestled was a squash, so this is gonna be the first time they have a real match, right? If they do meet in the quarterfinals.
Well,
Ricky and Hobbs.
Did the lights out match.
Yeah, they did the match off, right?
Oh shit. Well, I didn't watch that, so.
Oh man, you never surprise us, brother. But yeah, women's bracket, also a great bracket that I'm very happy about. Britt Baker versus Ruby Soho. Of course, that makes a world of sense. Anna Jay versus Sky Blue. Anna Jay, of course, coming off the back of a God, who did she wrestle? Chris Statlander match. Good bit of business. Her best match in a minute. So she's got a bit of momentum at the minute. Sky Blue, of course, we were just talking about how much she's improved this year. She's of course she's in it as well. Nyla Rose versus Willow Nightingale, which is a really good one. Athena versus Billy Starks, which is another really good one. Solid bracket, solid bracket job. What did you think of it?
Well, much as my eyes immediately went in the Roddy Joe direction, I immediately was looking here at Athena and Willow seeming set for a kind of a rematch in round two, right in the semifinals. That's the immediate fault. It feels to me like the tournament is going to be a way to introduce Athena reintroduce, I should say, Athena to the wider television audience who really hasn't seen much of this version of Athena, which is, I mean, clearly the best form she's ever been in her life. She's better than ever right now. So that's the big excitement for me. So that's another win. Believe it or not, there's more of them on the way here, folks. Yeah, I mean, Ruby and Britt was the final last year, right? So you get that, which is like a decent TV attraction for round one too. So I like this. I think they probably could have. I think it probably could have been a little better on like star power with some of the women they're going to lose in round one. I think, but overall, I like kind of what I perceive to be the direction as we move forward here. So I'm pretty fired up. It's Athena, man. Excited.
Yeah.
Beautiful stuff. Charlie, you fired up for this for the women's tournament?
Absolutely. I'm very excited to see Athena in this and like Willow in this as well. Because my pick for this was, I think it was Willow to win the whole thing. Now I'm not entirely sure the way the brackets are shaped. I'm not sure. I think we could end up seeing Athena versus Sky Blue in the finals. Like that's my early prediction for that. But I'm excited about it. Like Athena versus Billy Starks is going to be such a fun match. Like I'm really excited to be able to watch that at Forbidden Door. But yeah, it's a pretty good bracket. Like Britt and Ruby, they had a fairly solid match. I think I remember it being like last year. So I think it's going to be a good time. I'm excited for there to be like. There's like layers of story within this tournament as well, like there is the men's one. So I'm glad that they're both pretty well balanced in that respect.
Very good stuff. Seems to be well put together, I'd say. Manny, any of the matches that stick out to you in the initial bracket or potential matches like Willow versus Athena and stuff like that?
Athena versus Billy Starks. I think that's going to be a really fun match.
Agree.
Good shit, man. Good shit. Right. What else we got on here? We have. Okay, next up we have Daniel Garcia and Zack Sabre Jr. defeat Shibata and Orange Cassidy. And basically Daniel Garcia and Zack Sabre Jr. get the win. Daniel Garcia pinned Shibata, which I thought was, as part of the Daniel Garcia fan base, this was a big victory for us, But yeah, they got the victory by Orange Cassidy. He accidentally smoked Shibata with an orange punch, which led to the finish, and Daniel Garcia getting the win for the team. After the match, all men get their hands on Orange Cassidy's AEW International title belt, and they kind of awkwardly all grab it in like a circle and have like a stare down with each other. No one wants to let go. Eventually, Garcia and Zack Sabre Jr. they let go, which leaves Shibata and Orange Cassidy kind of awkwardly staring at each other, and Cassidy, kind of out of character, he like hastily snatches the belt away from Shibata. That sets, and then on commentary, a 4-way at Forbidden Door is then announced between the 4 men involved. So Daniel Garcia versus Zack Sabre Jr. versus Shibata versus Orange Cassidy for the AEW International Championship. Man, this tag match, I believe this went like over 15 minutes. It was quite long, to be honest. I did enjoy it, though. I did enjoy it. I thought it was well wrestled because, of course, the 4 names involved, of course, so it gives that away. But it was a little bit long considering the spot on the card it was in, An interesting choice in terms of that, but I have no real complaints about it, to be honest. Manny, what did you think of this one?
Yeah, I was into it the first few minutes of it, and then I was in and out of it. For me, it didn't really capture my imagination like I thought these 4 guys would. For me, it wasn't really clicking. And then I did pop though at the end when Orange did hit Shibata with the orange punch. That did get me, but my favorite parts of the match were whenever Zack Sabre Jr. and Shibata were in there together, just mixing it up.
Real music, Zach's awesome, man. He's just meant to be on TV, I think. I know he loves it over in New Japan, but he's awesome. Joe, what did you think of this one?
I think I'm in a similar place to Manny. Honestly, the trend with this show has been all the matches I thought were better than expected. While I thought this was pretty good, it actually was kind of short of what I was hoping it would be. Everyone we saw last night was the preview. I was very much excited for it. It didn't click is a good explanation from the Hooper, because it was kind of jarring watching the guys try to piece together their individual matches. It felt slightly disconnected in that way, and it lacked some rhythm and flow, which is an issue when you're going 16 minutes, right? Because it doesn't have any kind of trajectory in terms of escalation. It's just like start, stop. And that was an issue, especially with 2 ad breaks, I thought. So it was a decent match, maybe even a good match, but with the runtime, I think it was a slight misstep. And honestly, considering how much of this show felt like they were desperate to run a fill time, get stuff in within the time they had, it felt like it would have been fine just shaving a couple minutes from this, right? Like, it would have helped them out. I mean, even the post match, which I didn't like the belt. That's one thing that the guys holding the belt like that is whatever, that's not my thing. But the graphic, they just threw it in the corner and was like, there it is, 4-way. It's like, man, if you just took 2 minutes off of this heat segment in the middle of the match, you could have given that a little more punch, that announcement, So nothing terrible or anything. I think they're capable of a lot much better one, and sometimes it doesn't work out that way, unfortunately. But I'm with Manny on Shibata and Zack was the highlight for sure when they got a chance to just do the wrestling, definitely.
How do you feel about Orange in this match? Because I felt like he was, I just thought he was the one that didn't fit the flow of the match. I thought Garcia was pretty good too.
Garcia adapted where necessary. I didn't think it was an Orange issue so much as it was when Danny and Orange would do their match within this match. I didn't think it worked as well as it did in my head when I was imagining how it would look. Does that make sense? I think when they were doing their dynamic, I thought Zack and Orange was fun to watch. I loved Orange's match with Garcia in a singles. I didn't think it quite fit within this particular tag match, which again, it happens. Let me be clear, folks. It's still a solid match. There's nothing bad about it whatsoever, but I thought it could be better for sure.
Yeah. Charlie?
I actually really liked this match, but I just really like tag team wrestling, and I went in with high expectations, and I just thought it was a great time, to be honest. I did feel like they were holding back in some respect, and after the 4-way got announced, I was just like, okay, yeah, that makes sense. But I don't know, it definitely could have been shorter, but I just really enjoyed it. It was my kind of thing, to be honest, which is kind of weird because of like technical wrestling isn't normally the sort of thing I enjoy, but I really like all four of these guys, so it clicked for me.
A lot of people did like it. It got some very positive reviews, so you're not alone by any means.
Yeah.
I will say one thing. Yeah, for sure. One thing on the Forbidden Door front, like I have very few complaints about this card, and this isn't even really a complaint. I think if you were going to do a 4-way match on this show, I do not think they've necessarily picked the right guys for that match, to be totally honest. I think it'll be a really good time, let me be clear, and I'm sure, especially in the building, Charlie, it will be a hoot. But it just, if you said to me we're going to do a fatal 4-way for a mid-card belt, I would not necessarily have put these guys forward. I don't think it's necessarily their particular domain. So maybe I'll be wrong, hopefully so, but we'll see on that regard.
I think it's because these four guys can wrestle such a similar style. It feels like there's something missing to like add to that dynamic. But I don't know. I feel like with like Danny and Orange being as adaptable as they are, like they're gonna make something work.
I think so, for sure.
Yeah, I'm sure they will as well. All right, next up, we got Will Ospreay interview with Alex Marvez. Alex Marvez catches up with Will Ospreay as he's coming into the arena, wherever it was that he was going. So Marvez asked Will Ospreay if he's okay, and then he asked him why he would say the bad things that he said about Canada, even though he's heading there to face Kenny Omega at Forbidden Door. Will Ospreay then says that AEW better have security for him when he's in Canada, and then he's interestingly interrupted by Don Callis, who proceeds to warn him how dangerous Canada will be for him and how AEW won't provide security for him, etc., etc. And then he offers to help out Will Ospreay and look after him by providing him with security and other stuff that he may need when in Canada. So, yeah, man, Don Callis definitely rubbing up Will Ospreay to get on his good side. He's a good scout, Don Callis is. He might be a piece of shit, but he can definitely spot a top talent when he sees one. Charlie, I'm sure this was no surprise to you.
Man, something's going to happen in that match. I hope it's post-match and not, like, I really hope there's not interference in it. But, like, I feel like there's going to be a post-match angle. It's like, Don Callis and Will Ospreay, man. It's like, are they teasing it too much for it to actually happen, or are they trying to hit the nail on the head? That's the real conversation to be had, I think.
Yeah, Joe, when do you see Don Callis and Will Ospreay kind of coming together, or if they come together,
Yeah, I think that question Charlie just asked is the big one, right? Like, I think without this segment, that would have definitely been my prediction, was that Callis is the finish of this match and helps Ospreay win in Canada, but this was almost too bad signal. This was too much. I think on the go home, I don't know. No, I'm not so sure. I mean, I'm finding this like Ospreay being like the anti-Canada guy to be like an interesting dynamic. I'm intrigued if it actually creates the atmosphere they appear to be looking for. Like, because Kenny's the beloved anyway, right? But like, will Ospreay have like actual heat, or will it kind of be more of a we want to just see a great match? We'll see. I mean, they clearly want to capture some of that dynamic with Ospreay doing his shit talk and such, which is fine. Just in terms of the quality of the segment, Callis is so good. He's so good. It's actually like he's such a piece of shit, Like everything he says is so underhanded and so cunning, and so he's terrific TV. So yeah, this was a good piece of business. I think it makes, in a weird way, it makes Sunday harder to predict. So that's pretty fun.
Good stuff. Manny, are you enjoying Don Callis being able to be an open piece of shit now instead of kind of being he was a bit more disguised when he was running with the Elite, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's better for him to be out in the open about it now, I guess. But I don't know. I just feel like that we're probably gonna get new members of his family now, right, on Sunday. So I mean, I don't know who it can be, so I can't wait to see.
Yeah, man.
It's going to be United Empire or Blackpool Combat Club. It feels like those are the options. Unless there's a complete swerve and he's just like, haha, it's these guys. It's like, okay.
Yeah, it's like when they put together the Pinnacle
or something.
Yeah.
When they put together the Pinnacle, where it was just like the lights went out and it's like, here's these 5 guys together, and it was like, oh shit. Obviously there's that's obviously a possibility of like a 5, like just people who Don Callis picks out. or obviously, as Charlie said, United Empire, of course, is an obvious one. Blackpool Combat Club's too obvious, I think. Like, cause I think they're actually going to like do like the whole like Don Callis family thing, and it won't just be for like this feud, even though this will be like the majority of it, because of course. But yeah, definitely interested to see how this all plays out, especially in the main event on Forbidden Door. Next up, we had a Tony Storm versus Willow Nightingale video package, and this was basically to hype up and announce their upcoming match at Forbidden Door. Tony Storm versus Willow Nightingale for the AEW Women's Championship. Good shit, man. Fired up for this one. Charlie, what do you think of this match announcement?
I'm just excited for it. Like, these guys have great chemistry. It's going to be a really good time. They're just going to go out and have a really, just a fantastic match. And it doesn't feel out of place on the card, I don't think, which some people were worried about with the women's matches, but I think it fits great with like the rest of the card. So I'm really excited. Yeah,
man. Joe, happy about this announcement?
For sure, yeah. I think this will be damn good. I totally agree with Charlie in terms of it being a natural fit. I kind of wish they'd have announced it with enough time to ramp it up a little bit promotion-wise, but that's kind of, it is what it is. Because it has been, they did the stuff last week, so it's not like it was just out of nowhere. We had some semblance of build last week, but it feels like if we'd have had the match announced earlier, because it is a big match, right? Like, Willow is someone who you're investing in, and you want to be a big deal, and I think she already is one with the audience, so it would have been nice to have a little more time to give it some juice, but I'm not going to complain because I'm excited to see the match, and Willow is... Like, I think we're quickly seeing kind of this take place here, what we've all saw coming from a mile away, right? In terms of Willow's ascent and becoming who we want her to be and who we believe she already can be. She's getting more and more major moments emerging here. She's not going to win, but I think there is a chance that she has like another breakout performance and yet another one where everyone goes, wait, Willow's getting a lot better. It's like, no, this is where she's at now. She's just damn good. So I'm excited for her in that regard for sure.
Yeah, man. Very good shit. Next up, we've got Chris Statlander. She successfully defends her TBS Championship versus Tara Valkyrie. And, yeah, man, they had a competitive match. I thought this match kind of suffered from being in, like, the, kind of, I don't want to call it death slot, because that might be a bit extreme, but, like, the last spot before the main event, especially when the main event's going to be something like a segment that everyone was, like, clearly very much, like, there for. So this was kind of like the lull between like the final segment and last part of the show. But regardless, like I said, it was competitive, decent little match. Chris Statlander, of course, still kind of like getting into the swing of things. First, I think this is like a third match back since the return from injury. Manny just fucking up my ears there. God bless.
Disheveled the looks, man. Look at him. Tremendous. Yes.
Joe, on our preview show yesterday, you said this would be quite an important match for Taya to see where she kind of finds herself at after this TBS ordeal. And like I said, she kind of suffered from the position in the card last night. But overall, what did you make of Taya's performance? And, just quick thoughts on the match overall.
Yeah, I thought it's not the most interesting answer, so I apologize, but I thought it was kind of in the middle, right? In the sense that I think Tyra's at a point where I think because she's been going for a while now, I don't think she can move the way she used to, and that's fine. It is what it is. My favorite is Samoa. I'm not saying that to be a dick. It just is what it is, right? Like she's not the most dynamic in there. However, she does bring a lot of physicality, which I appreciate and I enjoy, and that was the highlight of this match, which I thought was pretty good. I do not think many will have watched this match and left it being like, man, we need to get Taya back in the, we need to keep Taya in the picture necessarily, which is what the conversation was last night. But at the same time, I didn't think Taya dropped the ball in a fashion where it was like, we're done with this project, meaning this kind of TV push. So I think somewhere in the middle, I thought the match was pretty good, decent. I think Chris has been really impressive thus far. There are still some things she does that even as someone who tries to avoid playing ringside doctor, I'm like, please cut that out of your offense because it's just not necessary. But that's not my decision to make.
Moonsault, like the apron moonsault, like, please stop. I don't, please.
It just doesn't look it's the juice isn't worth the squeeze there. You know, like it looks so dangerous and it doesn't look like it's particularly impressive because of how hard it is to take more than anything else. It's a cool spot, but it's just anyway. Decent match. I agree with you on placement, and that's always, that is what it is. It's part of a TV show, but it was in the middle for Tyra, I think, which is again not the most interesting answer, but it's the most honest one I can give, to be honest.
Yeah, Charlie, you got anything you want to add real quick?
No, I just thought it was pretty solid. Like, I enjoyed it for what it was. I'm hoping Chris starts to get like a big feud because like I appreciate like she's the workhorse and she's doing these TV defenses and that, but I want to see her like get a big feud out of this as well. So I'm interested to see what happens with that. And yeah, I just thought it was pretty solid.
And Manny, finally, quick yes or no answer will do from you on this one. This one didn't offend you, did it?
No, it didn't.
There we go. Beautiful.
Yeah, but I do want to say, Monty, it did feel like he was in a death spot, like you said.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was.
There was times where I was looking at my phone and being like, "Oh shit! I mean, are we gonna have enough time for Eddie Kingston to come out here and?"
Right.
Yeah.
Well, the other thing was they're advertising 2 talking segments too, right? So
that's what I was like. By the time the match ended, there was only I think 9 minutes left in the show, and I was like, "Okay, how are they gonna do the Eddie Kingston and the
Joe just
and Brian Danielson segment?"
What was that? Oh my god!
Charlie's dog shaking itself. Yeah. Sorry, man.
I thought a chopper was coming from a window or something.
I didn't realize my mic picked that up. I'm sorry.
It's fine. Man, what you saying, man?
No, I was just saying that. I was just like looking at my phone, wondering how they were going to do the Brian Danielson and Eddie Kingston segment, not realizing that they're just probably going to mix them both together.
Mm-hmm. And let's get to that one. Eddie Kingston announces the 5th man. So we come back from break. Eddie Kingston's already getting into the ring. He starts cutting a promo about the upcoming match at Forbidden Door. Of course, just being Eddie Kingston as well. He's just Eddie. Of course, we'll get into it a bit more. He says that he doesn't like some of the things that he sees going on, pointing out to John Moxie has been running around with Claudio Castagnoli, who he despises, and etc. etc. Moxie then makes his way to the ring, and the two kind of argue with each other about who each other is aligning themselves with, pretty much. Eddie Kingston then kind of gets tired of the talking, as he usually does, and he just straight up announces the 5th man, just kind of nonchalantly. It's Tomohiro Ishii. Mm-hmm. He then makes his entrance, and then before Ishii can get to the ring, the Blackpool Combat Club, not including Moxley, all jump Kingston. Ishii then gets to the ring to try and make the save, but he is outnumbered. As the Blackpool Combat Club continue their beat now, Brian Danielson grabs a mic and says Okada isn't coming. If he doesn't come out right now, he's a coward and he's going to stomp out Ishii. Gets into position to do it, and then we hear the coin drop. Kazuchika Okada's music hits. He makes his way to the ring, comes face to face with Brian Danielson. Big epic moment. The crowd loves every minute of it. And then Yuta tries to jump Okada from behind, and they try to kind of get the upper hand on Okada with Danielson. And it just didn't work. It didn't work out for poor Yuta, who ends up on the receiving end of a Rainmaker. I thought this was quite a... I like this, man. Especially like going into it, worried about how they're going to squeeze it in with like 8 minutes left or whatever the fuck it was. Eddie Kingston's just awesome. Like, I did definitely kind of just cut down his promo to the bare minimum when I was just kind of running through the recap of it. But I just love hearing him talk to the people, man, Manny, what did you think of this closing segment?
And Eddie Kingston brings something to this show that most people don't. Like, it just felt real. You just felt like it was personal between him and Moxley. Mm-hmm. And and you can just see how Moxley was conflicted about what was going on, because he didn't really think about like all that. And then when you see Ishii come out, because I didn't really think about the Ishii and Mox issues until Ishii came out, and I said, "Oh shit, he just picked somebody that Moxley hates." And I did like the quick like second exchange between Ishii and Danielson, even though it was like just they exchanged forearms. Yeah. And then Okada's big smile on his face. He looked more motivated than he did last Forbidden Door when he came out and freaking gave Yuta the Rainmaker, which was awesome. And I'm fired up. I can't wait for Forbidden Door. This is gonna be an epic night of epic wrestling on epic proportions.
Good stuff. Charlie, what did you make of the closing angle segment announcement of the fifth man?
Mm-hmm.
Bryan Danielson calling out Okada and getting him, etc., etc. A lot squeezed into this, but yeah, what did you think of it?
I thought it was really fucking good. Like when Okada came out, like the absolute look of glee on his face that there was another young boy that he could just kick the shit out of in the ring. Like, that just popped to be huge. Like it was just a really good segment. Like the chemistry between Moxie and Eddie at this point, it's undeniable. Like everyone knows it. Like they've got so much history together. I can't fucking wait for that singles match. Wherever it happens, it's going to be incredible. I really hope it's at All In because I'm incredibly biased and want to be there. So
yeah,
God, it was just such a good segment. Like the pop that Ishii got as well made me really happy. Like it was just really good.
Yeah, it's very good stuff. Hobart, was you happy with this Dynamite ending, mate?
Oh, I thought it was a great segment. Absolutely. One little quirk I want to point out before we get into kind of the meat of it is the Eddie having to wear the same attire that he wore in the pre-tape, even though he wanted to wear a shirt. So therefore, he had to stand there in the tank top and then be like, "All right, let me just put this shirt on," because otherwise continuity would be in danger if he walked out in a shirt. So that popped me because it's just of course that's the shit I would immediately notice. But I think the Eddie Moxley thing is really interesting.
Yes.
Because Moxley is right, which is always a great dynamic with a babyface and heel. Because really what Moxley's point is like, why do you always have to do this, man? Like, why do you have to do this now? You know, like you can do this shit with Claudio anytime. Do you really have to do it when I'm in the midst of like a 5-month faction war? Do you have to really be on that side for the sake of this? And it's like, that is always compelling TV with Eddie because the Eddie Kingston character is a guy who is flawed in every which way, but he wears his heart on his sleeve in a fashion that we love him anyway, right? And so the crowd's chanting Eddie and Moxley in this really like it was one of those cases of he's not mad, he's just disappointed, right? And he said that thing under his breath of you always do this thing, and Eddie kind of asked him to finish what he said, and he didn't want to because that is the kind of the crux of the issue is Moxley has done nothing wrong except pick someone as a friend that he doesn't like. And that's enough for Kingston to be like, oh, fuck this. Enough with it, you know? So that is going to be great TV because Moxley is going to delve into that in great form, I'm sure, of his promos. And Eddie will have his own retorts. And, you know, Eddie is going to get himself in a situation here where he's going to get the shit kicked out of him at some point, as I've constantly promised on this show. When he returns from that, I think we're going to get some of the more exciting TV possible. So I love that part of it. Then you get to Okada and Bryan. And, I mean, if there was any doubt beforehand, that crowd reaction was something, wasn't it? I mean, you were right to point out, Charlie, that Ishii got a big one, but the Okada response remains extraordinary.
Yeah.
And seeing those two guys face-to-face. Oh, man. And it's seeing them face-to-face, like, it's easy to get lost. There's so much going on right now. You can't take for granted what moment this is. These two guys are really going to wrestle here in a couple of days. And it's a match at one point we never thought we'd see. It wouldn't necessarily be how I would frame it, but I think you could reasonably call these two guys the best professional wrestlers of the last 20, 30 years. Some would go further and say they're the best two wrestlers ever. Like, and again, I'm not saying that, but I don't think you could throw it out with the resume these two guys have got, you know? So that's special. And I didn't think we were going to get this a couple of years back. So I'm thrilled, and that moment really, that painted a picture. This was a terrific way to close the show.
This is probably like a shitty idea or whatever, but imagine like Eddie Kingston and Moxie get thrown in the lethal lottery or whatever. And then you see Eddie just pick at Moxie's buttons little by little, then you eventually get the turn. I think that would be so awesome.
I don't think it's a shitty idea because Eddie has reiterated that he still loves Mox, right? So it's not like their beef is exclusively to his relationship with Claudio. So in theory, they should be able to team fine. The question is, what happens on Sunday in that regard? Like, does it explode on Sunday, or do they tease it with a 10-man? You don't really need to give them that, right? So there's so much you can do with this, and the beauty of wrestling at this level with guys of this caliber is, I have such faith in these guys' creative vision. You know, like I think they're going to produce something just masterful. I can't wait to see how it unfolds.
Beautiful stuff. I'm absolutely looking forward to it, and I think I speak for all of us when I say we are more than happy that Eddie Kingston is fucking back, and especially in a in a prominent position like this. Like even though he's only going to be here for a cup of coffee at the minute because he's going over to the G1, but again, he's in a very prominent position right now. So we love Eddie, basically. We had a few Rampage announcements and Collision announcements, so I'm going to pull those up. We have on Friday, Rampage, we have Chaos versus United Empire and Swerve. That'll be a good one. MJF is making his Rampage debut. I believe it's the first time it's ever been on Rampage. It's an interesting one.
Mm-hmm.
We have Owen Hart tournament quarterfinal, and a J versus Sky Blue, and we have Jack Perry versus Dookie from New Japan. MJF on Rampage seems like they're trying to pop a number, Joe.
That's a nice bit, right? The Rampage debut of a guy who's been there the whole time Rampage has existed. That's it's good shit. The Jack Perry match is one to circle because the word is that gets quite the reaction.
I've heard.
Yeah, so that may be worth watching just for that alone.
Yeah,
but an interesting lineup.
Absolutely. I'll get into some spoilers.
United Empire pops me huge. Like that tag, like him tagging with them just pops me so much.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Yeah, man. So there we are for Rampage, and where is Collision? Sure, our good friend Draven. Yeah, has got the Collision lineup as well. Yes, he does. Beautiful. Speaking of beautiful, this lineup. All right, so we got the big 8-man, which of course was promoted very early in the show. CM Punk, Cash, Dax, Ricky Starks versus the Guns, and Bullet Club Gold, Jay White, Juice Robinson. Now, of course, that's that'll be a good one. We've got Swerve versus Tanahashi, which is just straight like.
That match is fascinating, man.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's just great,
I don't even know what that's going to look like, But I need to see it. I know that much for sure.
Shit, Joe.
That real shit.
Maybe.
We got Willow versus Nyla, which, like I said earlier, I'm sure that's going to be a really good one, really solid match. Then we've got Brody King versus Andrade as well, which I think will be absolutely phenomenal. I love Brody King, and Andrade's got like some of my favorite offense in all of wrestling. Like when he's really going, I love Andrade, man. I love Brody King. This card is just great bit of TV, Joe. And I get the feeling you're quite fired up for this one.
I am, yeah. I think the Andrade Brody deal is the one that jumps off the page. I will say Willow and Nyla is a really fun matchup. I think Willow tweeted earlier it's the first time ever matchup, which I hadn't even considered previously, but it's a really neat one. Interested how Swerve, we often talk about with Swerve, no one doubts the talent, but he has that very particular rhythm and style to the way he wrestles, right? And I'm very intrigued how he adjusts that to Hiroshi Tanahashi in 2023, which is, he's still Hiroshi Tanahashi, but he moves certainly very different than he once did. Worth noting that, this is a season where guys are understandably not, they're being careful and protecting themselves. And Tanahashi's like, sign me up for that Saturday night collision spot. Let me go 15. He's insane in that regard. But yeah, I like the look of this a lot. And also they have the hook there, as I see the tweet underneath the Sting thing, which is interesting too. So it's a really fun time right now. There's a lot to like across the board.
But that insanity from Tanahashi is it's why he's one of the GOATs, man. He takes
a lot of pride in that. Man. He takes a lot of pride in it. Absolutely.
Manny, I know for a fact you're fired up for this because we was being quite shameless in the DMs about it. So, Manny, give us your initial thoughts on this card that you can see on your screen right now.
Monty, I'll say what I said in the group in the DMs, man. Dynamite's cooked, bro. Fuck, man, this shit rules. You see this right
here? He's quite sportful, He's yeah, man, so he feels. Do you think Collision's taking over the world, bro?
I don't know what that Christian graphic is, but I think it's going to be for the pod.
title.
Yes.
Well,
You're probably going to
that's gonna be
take
funny.
ownership of the TNT title as expected. So
Very
that's
funny.
what
Oh
I'll
man, bro, Andrade Brody King match is gonna be crazy because Brody, I just know Andrade is gonna work like a big man, and it's gonna be so funny to watch him in there with Brody King trying to work like a big man.
Mm-hmm.
So that's gonna be real graps right there. What do you think main
a
events?
A lot of it. Swerve Tanner probably because it's Tanner.
I think so. Yeah.
And also the Andrade match might set up his match with the House of Black at the Forbidden Door too. So
Yeah,
I think they'll close. It wouldn't surprise me if they close collision with like MJF like attacking Tanahashi or some shit.
Yeah. I think it'll be interesting.
Like
I mean, I could definitely see them winning the main event with Punk. I just starting the show with 2 straight multi-man CM Punk main events. There may be some hesitancy in that regard. I mean, we'll see. In terms of the 8-man, do we think the Hills are going to win there? Because I think
they're going to win.
Ricky's pinning Juice in the Owen, right? So it's kind of like it feels like they're going to give the Hills a win there. I'd assume
Juice going to pin Cash.
Yeah, over the FTR fellas, I would assume. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because Dax takes a lot of those too, right? I mean, I think it's easy to forget now. It was only like a month or 2 ago. They did that Jarrett and Lethal feud. They beat both of them. Remember that? Beat him with a stroke, brother. which is a good bit.
1, 2, 3, bro.
Yeah, I think the Hills are going to win that one. So they may open with that. I think.
Yeah, but yeah, man. Swerve versus Tanahashi is very just that weird booking. That fucking just straight fantasy booking. Weird shit. But good shit. Very good shit.
This Forbidden Door season is it's really fun. It really is. I know why it's a lot, and it can be kind of dizzying when they throw so many announcements at you. But when they're announcing good stuff, there is nothing quite like one of those rundowns that AEW gives. Where it's like they're doing that on when, and it's like your mind is, it's like here is Swerve Tanahashi. It's like what? It's an incredible thrill. Whenever you watch those shows, it's never the thing we focus on a review like this, because we're talking about the actual segments. But when AEW is really in a good rhythm and they're firing on all cylinders, and they get to the card rundown, and it's just like, and then this, that can be a real blast as a fan. Absolutely.
100%. Few super chats before we move on to some other stuff that I want to talk about. All right, Darren Walker, appreciate it as always, brother. £5. Statlander versus Taylor was quite good. Since her return, Chris has been very good. So happy for her after the injuries she had. I'll definitely co-sign that. Absolutely.
It's the weirdest thing you've ever said, Darren.
That's a very steady take.
Darren's real, man. Darren's real.
That was a very calm take, though, from Darren. You got to respect it.
I mean, it's better than when he sends us super chats about Orange Cassidy being very sporty. Griff, 199, appreciate you very much as well. You, Owen Garcia tag would be cool for the tourney. Yeah, man. 100%.
Yeah.
100%. I'm with you on that one.
Yeah.
That's one of those stories you can keep circling back to. So this would be a cool way to do it.
Honestly, that would be an awesome team to win it, wouldn't it? That'd be something, because they're both heels too. They could work with FTR and have a killer match. That'd be something.
Joe's good friend here, Ron, 199. Joe, man of the people, the British playboy himself.
This is the only one that not the only one, I don't want to go up for, there's been some extreme ones, but this is one of the ones that I'm least thrilled to endorse. I will not be endorsing this.
Very fair. Very, very fair. Ben, $10. Winner of Rod Strong and Sam Joe faces CM Punk. CM FTR Ricky. US Usos versus Roman. And Solo in London. Alex Shelley versus Nick Aldis for a world title. Hulverism taking over the world. It is, bro. You can't stop winning, mate. You can't stop.
I've said it once, I'm going to say it again. 89 Flair. 05 Joe, 15 Roddy, 23 Bing Bong. If you know, you know. I'll leave it at that.
Joe Rogan Promotions taking over.
What the fuck? Did you just say Joe Rogan again? Will you stop calling me Joe Rogan? He did this the other night privately. I've had enough of this.
It's disgusting.
Listen, if you want to watch Rogan in the privacy of your home, you can. You do not have to call me Joe Rogan. You've been doing that a lot recently. I will not stand for it. I'm trying to take a victory lap here, Hooper. Come on.
Good shit, man. Darren Cager, $5. Appreciate it. Eddie's words had me loathing Mox. How dare Mox question King's partners when he teams with that scumbag Claudio? Bro, that's how Eddie has the people feeling, man. It's
man.
People came up
stuff.
huge, man. When Eddie was talking, they came up again with the Eddie chants. It was incredible.
Yeah.
I love
Great
him,
stuff.
I love him. Look at this shit, bro.
It seems, again, I want
Look what
to
you've done,
this to me. You would be I totally understand if you're watching this show.
Joe, that's
Yes?
what you name your solo shows.
Go fuck yourself. Secondly, if you would be totally understood if you said, I sometimes think Manny the Hooper is doing a bit. I have questioned that sometimes. But if you ever wonder that, I want you to know that in a single conversation with Manny the other day, he called me Joe Rogan. And just that's just what he does. He's never working. This is just who Manny the Hooper is. I love it, but sometimes it can get us in some dangerous territory. That's all.
Very true.
That's all, folks.
Very, very true, mate. But yeah, keep those super chats coming. We always appreciate them. Yeah, I think that's it for now. Right, let's move on to kind of like like news and tidbits and things like that. I forgot to mention this when we was in the Dynamite review. So Jeff Hardy is going to be off AEW for a little while. Of course, because of his quite recent arrest, he's not able to do the Canada dates, and of course AEW is about to tour Canada, so we're not going to be seeing Jeff Hardy for at least a couple of weeks or so. So yeah, that was reported by Thoughtful Select as Dynamite was on. So yeah, that was my bad for forgetting to mention that after we when we was doing the review of this match. But yeah, no Jeff Hardy whilst they are touring Canada. Also, the latest in the Drew McIntyre will he, won't he sign or leave drama with WWE. He's people in WWE believe Drew McIntyre will be back in the mix by the UK Money in the Bank tour, which is the end of next week. So there is a belief in WWE that Drew McIntyre will be back, and it seems like they might be keeping hold of him. His contract is reportedly up the end of this year, start of next year. So and there was also a report that said that he wasn't really thrilled about the idea of coming back until they got that stuff sorted. So it seems like hopefully that they have, they've talked with him and they've had successful talks with him, and he looks like he could be back in the mix. Joe, we are going to be at Money in the Bank, and I would very much like to see Drew McIntyre there because I think he's a very good wrestler. What about you, mate?
I mean, I'm only going to be there for the main event, as you know, so you might have to text me about it or something. But no, it also, we actually were talking about this off the air, right? A couple of days ago, I was saying to you, that feels like the date's a circle. If he doesn't emerge at some point during that, weekend, that show, that feels kind of alarming if you want Drew to stay in WWE or whatever it may be. It feels like they're going to work this out based on that report and based really just on the fact that, frankly, I don't know if he's desperate to, prove himself all over again outside the company the way he did before. He's beat up, and we've said this a million times over, right? And in WWE, I think he can still get himself another reign with the new belt, and he's established in a way where you can kind of plug and play with him as a top guy. Would he ever get the creative he would have in an ideal world? Maybe not, but he's a guy they've got to a certain point. I think they'd be very hesitant to lose him, to be honest, even if it took a while to get to where they want negotiation-wise. So we assume London would be a point to mark on the calendar in terms of Drew, and it feels like we may get our answer there after all. So I'm not surprised, but hopefully the big man got paid. He certainly deserves it. So hopefully so.
Well, yeah, that would definitely, if he is staying with WWE, that would definitely be the assumption, like a multi-million-dollar a year contract, But yeah, man, if they don't sort it out, you obviously AEW would be one of the main companies, top of the list that people talk about. AEW, New Japan. I'm sure Drew would excel in both of those companies. But if he does stay in WWE, you can't really blame him, can you, Charlie?
Nah. It's at the end of the day, you just want to see these guys get paid, especially someone like Drew McIntyre, because he did a lot during the pandemic era, especially. Like, he really did help carry the company through that. So, like, as long as he gets paid and he's happy and he gets to do what he wants to do in the company, all power to him if he stays. And if he leaves, I hope he finds what he's looking for. Like, but you just want to see these guys working. So, yeah.
Yeah, man. Manny, I feel like you would be definitely on the hype train if Drew Galloway was making a trip to Japan. But yeah, mate, let's like stay with WWE. Was he someone that you was kind of hoping would get out of WWE?
Yeah, I was hoping he'll leave just for the one time, not the one time, second time, so you can have matches in New Japan and stuff like that. And I don't know, I just want to see him go on one final big run before he retires instead of just kind of putting people over one last time, and it's probably his last contract or something like that. So, well, man, at least he's making his money. That's all you can ask for or wish for someone like that's put their body through all this in this tough sport we call pro wrestling. So, salute to him.
Absolutely,
they need top guys too, right? And he's at a point where he's always going to have a certain credibility in that regard. Like they
got Roman Reigns.
Roman Reigns is the top guy, no doubt, but he's not around all that much, and he also is exclusively a tag team wrestler now. So it's not a bit like WWE is not short on talent by any means, but if you actually look at their like main event scene, whatever that is at this point, you can certainly see where there is room for Drew McIntyre, right? It goes without saying.
Yeah, of course.
That's why we always kind of assumed they would want to get this done.
But yeah, Drew, like I was saying, like if he did leave, he would absolutely have a lot of more than viable options where he would probably excel, whether that's New Japan, All Japan, anywhere in Japan.
Rev Pro.
Rev Pro if he wants to stay in the UK, I'm sure he'd take the promotion to new heights, Then AEW, man, I'm sure he'd fit in there great, But yeah, like I said, people in WWE believe Drew McIntyre will be back in the mix by the UK tour / Money in the Bank. So yeah, man, we will see how that plays out. TK, Tony Khan, he done his media call for Forbidden Door. A couple notes from that. He denied reports that he and his father are interested in Bellator. That was reported yesterday or the day before by Ariel Helwani on the MMA Hour. But yeah, Tony Khan shot that down. So it looks like the Khans will not be buying Bellator, man. Heartbreaking stuff, isn't it?
I'm never going to get Pitbull in wrestling, aren't I?
I mean, it's a long shot now, brother.
Pitbull is when you pick like one of the big. I mean, I love Pitbull. When you pick one of the bigger guys, he's like 150.
What do you mean, like Fedor or something?
But I just wrestlers, even smaller wrestlers, I think would be quite substantially bigger than Patricio Pitbull. Would be my guess, but I could be wrong.
Who else is in the heavyweight division? Is it
heavyweight is Finn.
The guy that was in the UFC.
Fedor's retired now, isn't
he? Yeah, he lost to what's his name?
Jake Hager's on the Bellator contract, I think.
Yes,
He's still got some fights left on it. Fuck, man, Ryan Bader.
Yeah, it would be guys. It would be like him and Corey Anderson, and like I guess Nemkov, right? I don't know.
Michael Venom Page isn't there anymore, right?
It's Jordan in the chat.
There you go. Nemkov and Satnam Singh. There you go. That's more like it. I know Crosby texts me immediately with Corey. No, he said Ryan Bader versus Samoa Joe. Some shit like that. I was like, I guess so. Yeah.
Bring out Joe Ortiz again.
Well,
no, God.
Let's not go there. Let's leave that there.
I had enough of him by now, I've had my
bro, he's TNA
run,
Wait, this has just struck me. The TNA run was legitimately 10 years ago. It was August 1st, 2013. 10 years. Good Lord, I'm getting old.
Imagine an overweight Chuck Liddell coming out representing Bellator against AEW.
Well,
no, man. Chuck Liddell just kind of bums me out now.
I would look. I'm telling you, Chuck Liddell versus Chris Jericho.
It's funny that we're doing like all this speculation about, you know, how weird would this be when legitimately 2 years ago, Junior DeSantos and Andrei Arlovsky had matches in AEW.
Yeah.
JDS, I don't know if, did Arlovsky wrestle? JDS definitely did.
Yeah.
I remember him doing spots for Jericho and shit.
Oh, did you see Junior Dos Santos is fighting?
Yes, I did. Yeah. Reset
and bare knuckle. Yeah, appreciate what we're doing.
I know that
bare knuckle fighting.
I know that only because Manny the Hooper brought it on my timeline with "this is the height of the sport" or some whole shit like
what
that.
What would Verdun take that fight, bro?
It's fucking money, bro. Scraps, isn't it? You know, everything's professional wrestling.
You'd think. I'm sorry for our wrestling fans there, but you'd think that like fair.
He's right.
No, but it's like, but JDS, fucking, you know, he was known for just fucking putting hands on people, bro. For doing that weren't really his bag, you know. You would assume that JDS is just gonna piece him up, yeah, you know.
Monty, like, let me tell you something. You can retire the Warrior, but the Warrior never goes to sleep, man. Look at Mike Tyson. You start getting talking about boxing.
Let me tell you something.
In his podcast, he starts sweating. He starts crying.
The interesting thing about Verdun as well is that he had his world title reign when UFC fighters, I don't want to say got paid well because they still don't know, but definitely better than, you know, than when JDS held the belt, for example. So, you know, these are the things MMA fighters resort to, man. It's kind of I guess it popped half of me because I'm a sicko, but the other half of me is just kind of like, it's kind of a shame that these old fucks have to even consider doing these things, you know?
I know nothing of Brazil or anything like that, but I'm pretty sure if you're like, I would think if you're like a Brazilian superstar UFC fighter, you'll never have to work again in your life, but, you know.
Yeah, that's
just an insane claim by you. Just an absolute. That is the perfect way to end this. Before Charlie passes out on the show, there's the perfect way to end. An all-time great.
What Bellator even was, so
fair.
So yeah, we're keeping Charlie because you know, she's got a flight to catch in the morning. So Charlie, if you have to get out of here at any time, then don't feel any way about it. We will, you know, we won't hold it against you.
Yeah, it's okay.
Beautiful. Oh, beautiful. TK also on the media call, he mentioned the one Bill Phil line. He said that he felt like a throwback to WCW when Ted Turner would be referenced on TV, which is such a TK answer. I just wanted to, that's not even news. I just wanted to bring it up, you know.
Anytime you say anything to Tony, he goes, "That's very WCW." You know.
One last thing on the MMA thing. I saw a comment in here that said Bigfoot Silva retiring. He unretired. So I mean,
he's retired like 10 times. Yeah.
I was gonna say, like, is he actually like?
He retired 8 days ago and then unretired.
But also, media call. Tony Khan said he's had conversations with Goldberg about AEW, but seemed to dismiss that he's Sting and Darby's partner, which I don't know, man. Like I said, I said on Twitter, some people actually were like, you know, I think it's Goldberg. Like, Charlie mentioned it earlier as well. Like, people were saying Goldberg, man, but Tony Khan did seem to dismiss it earlier. So,
Monty, remember when I sent you the picture? I sent you the picture last night of somebody like configuring the image or whatever they do. That's in the background, like the vacant thing, and they said it was Goldberg's silhouette.
Oh yeah, because it was a bald guy. Like, it's a bald guy.
They did this with Mercedes in January as well.
It's
Stop
interesting
relying
when
on these silhouettes. They're not law. It's okay.
Don't trust. This is AI simulation stuff. Don't believe that kind of stuff, man. All right.
Well put, man.
No, not well put, man.
That's what I learned. That's what I learned from people complaining about this Marvel stuff.
God bless. Bam. $5. I'm sorry I called you a super CMFTR fan, Charlie. Sometimes the most trustful and reliable news sources, CEO AO, can get the story wrong 1 out of a million. Hey, man.
That's all right. Yeah.
So, are you saying, Charlie, that you've not bought the new CMFTR Hart Foundation shirt? Is that what you're announcing now? Because I'd heard some things. I don't want to. Yeah, you're not bought it. To be clear,
I've not bought it. I've not bought either of them.
Wow.
I actually was rather spiteful about them on my burner, to be honest. But...
Wow. Oh, hold on.
See my TR jersey.
I can't say shit about being spiteful on the app because Charlie's in my Twitter circle, so she sees all of the spite.
We just get. I think it's I still do believe that there is like a direct correlation between British wrestling fans, the times they have to stay up to watch wrestling, and them being like grumpy. Twitter circles definitely help us, But man, good stuff. What else we got? News notes. I've got Carlito, according to PW Insider, according to some WWE sources, multiple people believe that he is being targeted for a WWE return at the SmackDown at Madison Square Garden. This has been a weird story because, of course, the news broke of Carlito signing with WWE. That came from like Hannibal TV. He was like, he cancelled these indie bookings with us. So, and he's told us that he signed with WWE. And then it hasn't been followed up by anyone. Like Sean Rossap hasn't reported on it. Dave Meltzer hasn't reported on it until earlier on today when Mike Johnson touched on it. And he said that that's what they're targeting, the MSG return. So, we'll see if that actually comes to fruition, But definitely a weird story to kind of keep an eye on. Go on, Joe.
I think it's even weirder than that because I think Carlito is kind of, at the towns he did make, I think he's kind of told the people that it's true. Like the live crowd, I think he's taken the house mic.
Well, he at an indie show.
Yeah,
at an indie show, he got on the mic after his match and he was like, the rumours are true. And then a few seconds passed and he was like, the rumours are true that I taught Vikingo all these wrestling moves. So we played a joke off of it, So
someone clipped just the rumors were true, and I was like, my God. Usually they are very much encouraged not to do that if you're going there, right? Like, it's a famous thing. If you're going to WWE, you do not say a thing. Carlito doesn't give a fuck, so even if he did say anything, it wouldn't surprise me.
Exactly.
I mean,
don't give a shit.
Look, he's never going to get the same reaction that he got at Backlash, but if you're going to bring him back in, doing it somewhere like that where the fans are going to be more kind of, generally speaking, more plugged into a character like that being from yesteryear, then it's the right place. I think he very quickly slots into kind of, a player coach, role player kind of deal, and hopefully he can have a nice little run. There's a crop of guys from that era who were kind of all at one point or another circled as like potential world champions who never quite got there. Like him, MVP, Shelton, I think even
Mr.
on a lesser
Kennedy.
level. Kennedy's a great one. I didn't think of him. Yeah. Chris Masters, I think, is one, right? These kind of ruthless aggression era guys who, for whatever reason, each of them are different, didn't quite reach the pinnacle. Carlito has been off the national stage for, it's got to be over a decade, right? It has to be. I think he left around 2010, 2011 range.
What do you want to say about Chris Masters? He had bigger things planned in his future. He was a NWA national champion.
Well, a lot of those. I mean, Shelton's had a great career still, right? I mean, he worked Japan an awful lot in the 2010s, and he's back now. We're seeing MVP. I think he's like one of the most underrated assets in wrestling. What he could do as a manager, I think he's a terrific manager, and he's shown that in WWE this last couple of years. So they've all had good careers, and Carlito has just been away from the national stage for a long time. So it would be nice for him to kind of close his career out in style. Right? I think he's in his mid-40s now, so hopefully he can do so.
Well, yeah, and you mentioned like the time in WWE that he's from, and the WWE fans, WWE universe, whatever you want to call them, they definitely have a very big endearment to people from that era specifically. Maybe even more so than the Attitude Era, unless of course, obviously not like Stone Cold and The Rock, but in terms of like if you was to take like a mid-carder or upper mid-carder from the Ruthless Aggression era, it'd probably move the current audience a bit more than, your upper mid-carder from back there. Right. So, definitely a lot of endearment for stars from that time. And, everyone remembers Carlito, bro. How much you remember about him definitely varies, but everyone at least remembers Carlito. So, I think he'll get a very warm reception if he is to head back in the next couple of weeks.
Monty, before we move on, this is something that someone brought up to me about Carlito was they were saying he was one of the last guys to get the old school WWE introduction with the big vignettes. Because remember, he had all the vignettes with the spitting of the apple, and famously he did that once, and they said that's the gimmick, and it's like there is certainly an interesting correlation. It's not the podcast do this here, but guys who get that big vignette introduction, like the stars of the 80s did, they certainly live long in the memory, it seems, right? Even if they don't have extended runs, wherever it may be. So someone said he was like the last guy in that regard. So I'd be intrigued to kind of know who else has come since then. But nonetheless, proceed as you will, Money.
We'll do. Next up, moving on. Fuego del Sol is leaving AEW when his contract expires on July 1st. Of course, Fuego was kind of a dark favourite that people would get behind and sort of like that. He's had a few cool moments on AEW TV. The match with Miro was, he almost made the people believe that Miro might lose to him. And obviously him getting his contract as well is a memory that a lot of AEW fans will remember. But it looks like he's going into free agency, so all the best of luck to him. I don't think anyone can be overly surprised with where AEW is at right now. It's not like he was on TV every week. I always kind of liked Fuego, man. I thought he was very good in his squash matches and stuff. Great bumper, great seller. Yeah, man. But we'll see what he can cook on the Indies. I don't know what that'll hold for him, but yeah, man. Best of luck to Fuego. Don't know if any of you guys got anything to add, but yeah, man. Shout out Fuego.
I was glad to hear that he's cleared from his injury now. And
yes,
he can get back to wrestling and doing what he does. I liked him. I think he was a good character in AEW, and I hope he has a good indies run, and he can do what he wants to. So.
Yeah, he's an interesting one. He's a talented guy who I think it was a great moment him getting the contract. It was always difficult to see what his long-term role would be in AEW, right?
Well. Sorry, Joe.
Come on.
Another one.
Yeah,
wow.
Yeah.
Bro, he done such a good job in that match, man.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. He's kind of an unfortunate case, right? I think he's quite admirable in the way that he maxes out what he can do. I think he's really quite impressive. But some guys, and this is no way it says like a dig, but his ceiling is still only going to go so high, right? And the AEW he signed on to, it was already adding a lot of talent. And by the time he would have been there for about 3 or 4 months, it was even more loaded than it was already. So it's really difficult to see where he would fit on AEW long term. That was kind of an issue for him in general, but he was terrific as an enhancement talent. I think the big question for him is, what does he want to do? What kind of role does he want to play? There are certainly places where he can be more pivotal and more central. If that's what he wants to do, hopefully he can find them. But very, very talented guy. Best of luck to him, certainly.
Yeah, man. Shout out Fuego. Best of luck to him. And also happy to hear that he's cleared, because he was dealing with a few injury issues the past year or so, So, Fuego is departing AEW. Right. Rampage spoilers. This is your warning. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Rampage spoilers. There's no Jim Ross, as he said at the end of, I believe it was Collision or whatever. No Jim Ross. We got, it looks like John Hennigan, John Morrison, Johnny Elite, whatever the fuck you want to call him at the moment. He looks like, he appears on Rampage. He looks like he could be aligning himself with the QTV crew. Also, we had, after the Jack Perry versus Dookie match, Sonada shows up on the show and has a face-to-face with Jack Perry as well. Also, kind of like the big one coming out of this is Adam Cole's match for Forbidden Door. That was given to us on Rampage, and it looks like it's going to be Tom Lawler. So, a few notable Rampage spoilers there. Anything that catches your eye, Charlie?
The Adam Cole, Tom Lawler match. When I saw that, I was just like, that's so random. But I'm really excited for it. I love Filthy Tom Lawler. I think he's great. So him getting a spot on Forbidden Door just makes me really happy. I'm really excited for that.
Yeah, Tom Lawler. He definitely wants a match on these shows. He's good for him, man. Tom Lawler's a good wrestler, and we'll see what Adam Cole and him can cook up. It's not really like the match on the top of my list sort of thing, but it's not something that I'm turning my nose up at either. So, any of those Rampage spoilers catch your eye, Hulbert?
None of them are really aimed at old Joey Bing Bong, but that's okay. He's won enough as of late. Let other people enjoy their Friday nights with Rampage. Johnny, I recently reviewed a John Hennigan MLW title defense in my match guide. Really get that out, sorry folks. And I think he's finally turned the corner here at around 43 years old. I think he's figuring it out, and he's all right. I mean, he's going to be in the QTV business, which could be funny, I guess, if you're into that kind of thing. I don't really have any interest in the things here, but I mean, I'm happy for Filthy Tom. I like Filthy Tom as a wrestler. I don't necessarily love the matchup with Cole, but it might surprise me. Cole has just had a great showing last week, so hopefully he can build on that. But at least Rampage has got some newsworthy stuff. That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. What else we got?
By the way, I think the Tom Lawler stuff's cool. Then I'm cool because it adds another layer.
Yeah.
You're in a closet or something now, man. Anyway, whispering to us.
My bad. I'm laying down because my phone was about to die.
Okay.
Oh, God bless you, man. Well, yeah, Forbidden Door, of course, some of the matches got announced on Dynamite and stuff like that. So, current...
Look at this.
Look at that. Beautiful.
Incredible.
Right, so as far as I'm aware, this is the updated Forbidden Door card. We have Bryan versus Okada, Ospreay versus Omega, the two big ones. We have Jack Perry versus Sonata for the IWGP Heavyweight Championship. We have Tanahashi versus MJF for the AEW Heavyweight Championship. We have Shibata versus ZSJ versus Daniel Garcia versus Orange Cassidy for the International Championship. We have Tony Storm versus Willow Nightingale for the AEW Women's Championship. We have the Elite and Eddie Kingston and Ishii versus the Blackpool Combat Club and Takeshita. We have Suzuki, Jericho, and Sammy Guevara versus Darby Allin, Sting, and a third man yet to be announced. And Adam Cole versus Tom Lawler. Yeah, man, the card's taken shape. A few cool multi-mans that have been added. Of course, it wouldn't be a New Japan influence card if we didn't get our cool multi-mans in there, very good shit. I'm happy with the way this card has taken shape, sorry. On paper, it's definitely a improvement on last year's, but last year's ended up being the consensus show of the year. So, this could be a very special show. Like I've mentioned a few times this week, Tony Khan has mentioned that he thinks it's going to be the best show that either company has ever put on. But just kind of your overarching thoughts on the card, Manny, before your phone dies.
Oh, the show. It's going to be awesome. There's going to be so many great matches top to bottom. Maybe there's going to be some classics on here. There's potential for all-time matches, and I'm super excited. And
of course, good stuff.
Shout out Victor Wembanyama.
Yes,
it's a spur.
Indeed. He's a spur. Charlie, you happy with the card? What do you think of it?
Yes. It's really hard to predict what's going to be my favorite match coming out of this. It's probably going to be the Elite one because I am who I am. But
of course,
there's so much on it. It just looks so fucking good. And on the 0 hour, that's where Athena and Billy Starks is happening as well. And I think there's potentially going to be a House of Black match as well.
Oh,
so there's just
Punk
so
versus
much.
Kojima. I forgot about that one.
And Punk versus Kojima, yeah.
God,
can't wait for that. Everyone knows it. That's my most hyped thing of the card, obviously. But no, I'm just really fucking excited to be there for it. It's going to be insane. And I don't care how long the show is. It could go for 5 hours. I'm going to be in the building. It's going to be great.
I mean, you probably will, so.
Yeah.
Good shit, though, Joe. Strong card.
Oh, yeah. Incredible card. It's, you never want to be, you never want to expect too much because you feel like you're setting yourself up to be disappointed. But honestly, it feels like it would take some real bad luck for this not to be a classic show. Like, it genuinely, there are certain people you can put together where it's like, there's just no way they're not have great matches, you know? The top 2 matches, it goes without saying, but the multi-man stuff is going to be a blast too. And it's just, I don't know. I think it's such a hilarious improvement on last year's show, considering how great that show was. It's kind of a ridiculous thing to put together, as you laid out earlier, Monty. Like, yeah, so last year was probably the best show of the year, and this show looks like 4 or 5 times better than it. That's a mathematical equation that I've yet to come to grips with, but this should be one of the great shows. I mean, it really should be. And there are going to be multiple matches on here that, you know, within them, there are these singular moments where people come to their feet because they can't believe what they're seeing, and that's what it's all about. Moxley has kind of regularly framed this show as this kind of celebration of wrestling, I think he calls it, right? Something to that effect. And he's spot on. I mean, it's really special. And it's been amazing to watch this concept kind of grow and expand from, you know, way back in the day when World Championship Wrestling would bring the New Japan guys over and they'd kind of be, I mean, they would make a big deal of it. And Starrcade 95 obviously was all built around it, but the crowds didn't, they wasn't seeing, Hashimoto or whoever and being like, finally.
That's definitely changed now, you know, the way that like the hardcore US fans see like the overseas guys from Japan.
Right,
it's definitely changed a lot.
We've watched that evolution, right? Like in the mid 2000s, you started seeing the Noah guys get huge reactions in Ring of Honor, and then in the mid 2010s, it kind of was a shift where the New Japan guys became the main attraction of Ring of Honor's product for a while there, and that was an issue in itself. But now, the natural evolution of that is that we have the big stage and the big arenas of World Championship Wrestling from back in the day, but with the responses the guys were getting in Ring of Honor, it's really, really cool. I mean, again, Charlie brought up earlier, the response that Ishii got on Dynamite. And I know he's been on AEW, but that's incredible to think about when you really consider like where Ishii is at in the card at this point. That people love him. There's such a respect and adoration. So it's a celebration of wrestling. That's the best way to put it. I can't wait.
It'll be some good shit. Very good shit. But yeah, just a quick couple of things to touch on before we get out of here. A little bit of ratings talk. Dynamite done a 0.33, which is kind of on their high end, to be fair. Lately, usually the range is around about 0.28 to 0.33. So good to see them get that on a go home. Collision on Saturday drew 816,000 viewers with a 0.33 rating, which, like I just said, is kind of the high end of Dynamite ratings these days, with a range between 0.28 and 0.33. Of course, that's a great start. Genuinely a great start. Honestly, probably a little bit above my expectations for it, and my expectations weren't low at all. I was very optimistic. But yeah, 0.33 is definitely a great start. We'll see what it settles at, because obviously this was a debut show, it was puncture time, etc., etc. But if it does settle at around 0.25, that would be I think that would be very, very successful. The network, of course, would be over the moon with that. But yeah, man. So that's Collision. Good stuff. Good start there. And I wanted to touch on the Seth Rollins thing at NXT because it was quite incredible. So, of course, Seth Rollins, he defended the World Heavyweight Championship versus Bron Breakker, one of NXT's top stars, on NXT on Tuesday. And, of course, the question going into that would be, like, is Seth going to make a difference in the ratings? Like, of course, he was always going to boost it a little bit because it's fucking Seth Rollins, but how significant it would be was always going to be the question. And that question got answered today in quite an emphatic way. So, Seth Rollins NXT, his quarter defined. He was kind of throughout the show, but his quarter, which is the overrun as well with the Bron Breakker match, so the actual match itself, did a peak of 900k with a 0.29 demo rating in the key demo, which is like a fucking Dynamite rating, you know, on an NXT Tuesday. So that experiment definitely worked. I think it's fair to say Seth Rollins, to the surprise of pretty much nobody, is a pretty big draw in terms of TV ratings, if you can do that. And yeah, I just felt like that was definitely worth mentioning because that was impressive.
He's never going to be my favorite guy by any means, but it has to be said, it is incredibly impressive that Seth appears to be more over now than ever before, because that is like, how long has he been up now? This is what, his 11th year on the main roster. He's been world champion multiple times over. He's been the top guy on a couple of occasions. Not the top guy, but like he's been, 11, 12, a brand.
11 years, yeah.
that kind of range. And it's like there was a couple points in that run where it felt like Seth was kind of, he'd kind of reached the end of his run in a lot of ways. I remember certainly before they put him back with Mox, he was doing a program with Bray Wyatt, and I remember the conversation, but I don't know what Seth's going to do next. That was like 6 years ago, So it's like, credit to him. And I know a lot of folks have fun with like, it's actually the song, but look, they love that guy. I watch, for the match guide, I watch like a lot of his bigger matches. Obviously, I watched the prom one this week. And it is incredible how little he has to do to get the people to be totally rocking for his comeback, Like, he just has to give the heel about 4 or 5 minutes, and they're rocking and rolling. They're ready for his comeback. They're fired up for me. He's over huge. Credit to him. It's honestly doesn't, I think, get enough credit that he's at this point during, this deep into his run. It's very impressive.
Yeah, absolutely. Very, very impressive, especially with what he was able to pull off on Tuesday. But yeah, man, like I said, Collision, great start. Dynamite, strong rating this week. And again, Seth absolutely proved his worth and then some. Anything else that that you guys want to talk about? Anything in the live chat anyone wants to ask us? Or because I think we may be good. Let's get the fuck out of here,
We're good to go, mate. I think we're good to go. I would like to congratulate Nick Aldis on his heel turn last week. A little late to that.
Important.
We're coming for the big one here in a couple of weeks, but what a time. Seriously, I know we're having a lot of fun with the victory lap business and all that, and obviously the great irony of me doing that on this show is that Charlie is literally going to this show and he's the one who should actually take a victory lap. But never been armed with great self-awareness. But I say it every week, have fun with this. This is exciting stuff. There's so much going on right now. Whatever your preferred taste is, it's a blast. So great.
There's definitely something for everyone right now.
Love all wrestling.
Look, I know that's lame and I know it's boring. And seriously,
not with this stuff again.
Manny, just for a minute. Seriously, this is important. Monty run down this card and he goes, "Oh yeah, Punk's wrestling Kojima." And this is what time are we living in here?
Yeah.
And it's crazy. Like, I understand why you forgot it because on this show it's like 8 from the top or whatever. But it's like I mean, I'm not saying it's even going to be a great match. It'll be fine, but it's a hilarious match, if nothing else. It's just, I don't know. I'm trying my best to enjoy the ride. I've never been particularly good at that. But I'm trying to be better in that regard right now because it's just a blast. So much good stuff going on.
Beautiful stuff. And I guess with that, we are going to get out of here. Quick plugs before we get out of here. As always, the Unpurists Podcast tomorrow at 6 p.m. Eastern. I'm sure they're going to be taking a bit of a closer look at Forbidden Door as well and doing whatever stuff they want to do tomorrow, of course. Appreciate it if you guys tune into that one. Joe Horvat's match guide, of course, that was posted early this week. Charlie is going to Forbidden Door, but when she comes back, I believe she has a feature cooking up.
Yes. I was hoping to get it out this week, but it's been a busy week. It will come eventually. I promise. That there's a feature coming, and honestly, it coming out after Forbidden Door would kind of make sense because it is about Orange Cassidy. So this is just another thing I can throw in for it. So keep an eye out for that. Follow me on Twitter because I will be talking a lot this weekend about the wrestling I'm going to watch. And just another thing quickly. Yeah, a lot of wrestling. I recorded an episode of Tag Talk with Kylie and Haley from Fightful Overbooked, and that will be coming out next week. So if you like Elite Law, watch that, because that's what we spent an hour talking about.
God bless. And Manny, of course, he wants to have a message from Manny the Hooper, who would like to say that the Spurs are going to take over the world with their number 1 draft pick. He's very excited about it.
Yeah, but I am. And just like fucking any other day, my luck, bro. My Wi-Fi is down. My Wi-Fi is down, and I can't watch YouTube TV, so I missed it.
Bro, the tone that Manny hit there was something else. And it just fucking sounded like some geezer. Sounded like some geezer down the local.
I've been hyped for this for 2 weeks, and then I've been making my whole day around it. I was gonna do some stuff around here, and then bro, they can't watch this shit.
Heartbreaking stuff for you.
Well, you know,
Folks.
fucking Dame's days are numbered in Portland. You know,
Manny is going to be navigating these continued Wi-Fi issues on tonight's episode of the Late Night Grim, which is now 40 minutes away. Twitch.tv/Late Night Grim. We're going to do a more formal Forbidden Door preview over there, so please do join us. The band is back together.
So
beautiful. Look at that. Lovely closing image. But yeah, of course, as always, please like, subscribe. We've appreciated the super chats. Please turn on our post notifications because apparently that's what YouTubers tell people to do. What else have we got? And don't forget the most important agenda in wrestling. Peace out, everyone.